Chapter 1227. When I stand up, I will deal with you all together. You will not have a good ending after offending our Heavenly Essence Merchant Association. Elderfong, break the restriction and show this brat how powerful we are. When the 5 kneeling Heavenly Essence Merchant Association blue-robed Emperor experts saw Elderfong rush over, they felt very confident. They no longer showed any fear when facing Xiaochen. Elderfong smiled coldly. Then he raised his hand and threw a palm strike as he roared, "Break for me!" Elderfong purposely kept an eye out and did not underestimate Xiaochen. Although the force of this palm strike was split into 5 portions, he had already used 70% of his law energy. In Elderfang's opinion, using 70% of his strength against a consummation blue-robed emperor's restriction was already giving Xiaochen face. Elderfong did not even need to use half of his strength to kill a regular consummation blue-robed emperor. His imagination was beautiful, but reality was cruel. The power of the world that Elderfong drove caused the entire southern part of the city to tremble. Without the protection of the formation, countless houses swayed and fell down in batches. The winds and clouds in the sky changed. Thick layers of clouds churned continuously. The force of the palm strike split into 5 portions. Each portion carried enough force to destroy a mountain range as it flew over. However, the restriction on the 5 did not budge at all. These 5 vast streams of power of the world did not have any effect at all. The primordial energy that Xiaochen left on the 5 did not loosen at all when faced with the surging power of the world. Instead, the 2 forces pressed against each other, making the 5 kneeling people feel even more uncomfortable. Blood leaked out of their mouths as they cried out in pain. "Elderfong, what's going on? Why can't the restriction be broken? I feel like the invisible mountain pressing down on me is even heavier. Elderfong, don't do it." Just a moment ago, the 5 were extremely ferocious, shouting for Xiaochen to kneel and beg for mercy. However, in the next moment, they could no longer endure it, wailing in pain. Such a scene shocked all the onlookers. Even the half-step emperor, Wu, couldn't make these 5 people stand up? Xiaochen's methods were a bit too overbearing. Was he really going to make these 5 blue-robed emperors kneel for a month? Thinking about it, it was really cruel. No blue-robed emperor would be able to endure such humiliation. It would probably leave an indelible shadow in his heart for the rest of his life. Damn it! How could this be? Elderfong was taken aback. He had not expected such an outcome. Earlier, he had said that he would be able to break the restriction in a matter of minutes. However, even after using 70% of the power of the laws, he still had not succeeded. All of a sudden, his face was as humiliated as the 5 people kneeling before him. "I don't believe it." Elderfang's face darkened, and he was thoroughly enraged. He unleashed his full strength without holding anything back, planning to use the most violent method to break this strange seal. Elderfong completely ignored the 5 people kneeling on the ground and howling in pain. He threw a palm strike, and cracks appeared in space. The ground exploded. Elderfong used his full strength, creating a horrifying mysterious phenomenon that crashed into the restrictions of the 5 people. It had to be said that this force was indeed horrifying. The restrictions on the 5 people all lost their balance. The primordial energy that Xiaochen left behind could no longer form a complete restriction, and it started to crumble slowly. Elderfong revealed a smile on his face. "Insignificant tricks. How can they stump me?" Wuxia. Right after Elderfong spoke, the 5 people kneeling on the ground all vomited a mouthful of blood. Then their bones shattered. They could no longer endure the pincer attack of the 2 forces and died on the spot. The primordial energy that Elderfong left on the 5 no longer remained in the form of a restriction. It surged out with a whoosh and merged together, forming a complete strand of primordial energy. This strand of energy turned into a purple saber light. With a flickering speed, it flew towards the startled Elderfong, whose smile froze. Primordial energy. This is something that only Emperor Wu can execute. How can it be? Before Elderfong could finish speaking, the strand of primordial energy that Xiaochen left behind turned into a saber light and pierced through the armor on Elderfang's chest, piercing through his chest. It left a huge, bloody hole in Elderfang's chest. It was a tragic sight. Elderfang's law energy could not form an effective defense against an energy of a higher grade. From start to end, Xiaochen, who had been watching coldly from the sidelines, not even moving his feet, suddenly shouted, "You kneel down as well." When he made a move, it would be a fatal one. The instant Elder Feng was severely injured, Xiaochen executed a lightning-fast move. He instantly drove the remaining 9 strands of primordial energy in his heart of an emperor. When Xiaochen smashed down with his palm, space seemed to move. When it landed on Elder Feng's shoulder, plop! This half-step Emperor Wu was forced to kneel by Xiaochen's palm strike. The instant Elder Feng's knee hit the ground, there was a crisp sound. A horrifying energy radiated from his knee. Apart from the shops of the Azure Dragon Merchant Association, all of the buildings and houses within a radius of 10 miles were instantly annihilated. As for the cultivators who had soared into the air to avoid the energy radiation, they stared with wide eyes, not daring to believe the scene before them. The half-step Emperor Wu, who had been clamoring about killing the white-robed bladesman, was actually forced to his knees by Xiaochen with one palm strike. When Elder Feng arrived, he was brimming with killing qi and spoke arrogantly. Now he knelt on the ground, his face filled with horror. Xiaochen placed his hand on Elder Feng's shoulder and pressed down hard. No matter how hard Elder Feng tried, he could not move at all. "Stop struggling. If you keep struggling, it will not be as simple as being humiliated," Xiaochen said expressionlessly with a cold expression. Elder Feng was shocked in his heart. Before he could recover his wits, Xiaochen, a consummation blue-robed emperor, actually used primordial energy. This was a power that only Emperor Wu could use. This was simply too shocking. The people watching the excitement might find it unbelievable. Xiaochen was ridiculously strong. However, they did not know why Xiaochen was so strong. However, Elder Feng knew that this was primordial energy, a power that came from beyond time and space. The people in Emperor Wu's circle called him primordial energy. If one did not come into contact with Emperor Wu, it would be hard to understand him. Now that Xiaochen asked this question, Elder Feng recovered his wits and felt somewhat terrified. He stopped struggling. Xiaochen said indifferently, "Let me ask you something first. Were you the one who ordered him to smash my Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce's signboard?" That blue-clad man was merely the manager of this branch on the surface. The true mastermind was this Elder Feng. Without Elder Feng's approval, that blue-clad man would not have done something like smashing someone's signboard, something that was akin to slapping someone in the face. Even if the blue-clad man occupied the wrong place, he could just teach him a lesson and chase him away. There was no need to go to such extremes as smashing someone's signboard. Elder Feng's eyes flickered. However, under Xiaochen's strong pressure, he still answered honestly, "I was the one who told him to do so. The Heavenly Essence Chamber of Commerce has been on a decline recently. I just wanted to find something to establish my might. I did not expect the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce to be so strong." Xiaochen thought for a while. He had not expected such a simple reason to trample on the dignity of the Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce's people. If Xiaochen had not rushed over by coincidence, Kim Taeho's group might have suffered some more humiliation. "You are rather direct, not beating around the bush. I will not make things difficult for you. Just kneel in front of this Chamber of Commerce for 3 days, and I will forget about this matter." Smashing someone's signboard was equivalent to slapping someone in the face. To a Chamber of Commerce, this was the greatest humiliation. Xiaochen did not feel that he had gone overboard. The law and reason were on his side. Even if Emperor Wu, the overseer of the Heavenly Essence Chamber of Commerce at Treasure Dragon Island, rushed over, Xiaochen would still fight for what was right and not shrink back. Without giving Elder Feng any chance to quibble or speak, Xiaochen directly used the 8 strands of primordial energy to form a restriction, and left it in Elder Feng's body. Not only could Elder Feng not move, but he also could not say a word. When such a scene landed in the eyes of the cultivators who were watching the show, they felt an unparalleled dominance and dominance. The entire Dragon Grave Sea would definitely be startled by this. Just at this moment, a figure suddenly descended from the sky. His strong aura carried an extremely horrifying pressure. As he descended bit by bit, the gravity on everyone's shoulders increased bit by bit. This is the Heavenly Essence Chamber of Commerce's overseer of the Dragon Grave Sea, Emperor Wu, Senior Luozhen. Many cultivators gaped. Actually, they had already guessed that today's matter would definitely startle the Heavenly Essence Chamber of Commerce's overseer of the Dragon Grave Sea, Emperor Wu. However, no one expected the other party to arrive so quickly. The moment Xiaochen subdued Elder Feng, the Heavenly Essence Chamber of Commerce's Emperor Wu, Luozhen, appeared. This Emperor Wu wore plain robes of alternating blue and white. He had long hair, long eyebrows, and a long beard. He did not have the ruthless and murderous air of the cultivators of the Dragon Grave Sea. Instead, he gave off a friendly feeling. I rushed over as soon as I received the news. I was still too late. Old Man Luo glanced at the kneeling Elder Feng and frowned slightly. Then he looked up at Xiaochen and said, "Not bad. It looks like the rumors are true. You have indeed condensed the heart of an emperor." Xiaochen raised his eyebrows and said, "This is somewhat surprising. This should be my first time meeting Senior. How is it that you know so much about me?" Old Man Luo smiled faintly and said, "In our circle, people have been paying attention to you for a long time. The news about you has never stopped. In Emperor Wu's circle, there is an Emperor Wu's substitute ranking. In recent years, you have risen the fastest on this ranking, reaching the top 20. Top 20? If there really was such a ranking, Xiaochen would be happy to be able to rank in the top 20. The Emperor Wu's substitute ranking was not a ranking of the outstanding talents of the younger generation. Instead, it recorded all the cultivators who had the chance to advance to martial emperor in the past 1,000 years. It did not take into account age or seniority. It was a ranking of all the cultivators qualified to advance to martial emperor. It did not matter whether one had lived for a few hundred years or decades. As long as one had the qualifications to advance to martial emperor, it would be included. How long was 1,000 years? How many geniuses would appear one after another? As for the Emperor Wu's substitute ranking, it was a ranking that had been accumulating for 1,000 years. Basically, the older one was, the higher one's rank would be. It was indeed not easy for Xiaochen to charge into the top 20 of this 1,000-year Emperor Wu's substitute ranking in a short 31 years. However, you rise fast and fall fast. Your ranking just fell out of the top 100. Chapter 1228. Why? Xiaochen asked, feeling suspicious. Luozhen pointed to Elder Feng and said, "Get him to stand up. I'll tell you why." The old man's voice was so clear that everyone could hear him clearly. Everyone was dumbfounded. The mighty Emperor Wu's true body descended and wanted to get his own people to stand up. However, he was actually negotiating with Xiaochen. Furthermore, based on Xiaochen's appearance, he seemed to be thinking about it, unwilling to do so. What was going on? To think that a consummation blue-robed emperor could speak to Emperor Wu on equal terms. In this world where strength reigns supreme, this was simply too inconceivable. Xiaochen shook his head and said, "There's no need. I can roughly guess the reason. Xiaochen's fall must have something to do with the heart of an emperor. Now that he had condensed the heart of an emperor, the difficulty of his great tribulation of wind and fire would multiply. In the eyes of others, the risk of advancing to martial emperor had become much harder. In reality, in Xiaochen's opinion, he was not afraid of the difficulty increasing. He was only afraid of not having the time. So what if the difficulty did not increase? If he did not have the time to undergo the great tribulation of wind and fire, he would not stand a chance at all. No matter how difficult it was, as long as he could undergo the great tribulation of wind and fire, he would have some hope of advancing to martial emperor. Furthermore, the higher the risk, the higher his achievements would be if he advanced to martial emperor. It looks like Senior also knows who is right and who is wrong in this matter. I am not an inflexible person. If there is really enough useful information for me, I do not mind getting him to stand up." Xiaochen thought for a while before continuing. Of course, if there is none, then he can only continue kneeling. One has to apologize for their mistakes. A strange light flashed in Old Man Luo's eyes. Then he turned around and looked around, his gaze landing on the people watching the excitement. The cultivators who felt Old Man Luo's gaze immediately understood what he meant. Old Man Luo was about to make a move. When these people looked behind them, their hearts sank, and they quickly left. Without a sound, with just a glance, Xiaochen chased away all the unnecessary people in a 5-kilometer radius. Xiaochen was secretly on guard. Emperor Wu's deterrence was really huge. Even though this old man Luo didn't look like the strong Emperor Wu. In that case, I'll tell you something. The distant sea dragon grave is the only 9-star dragon grave in the Dragon Grave Sea. I heard that the ancient Dragon King's 9-star dragon grave is buried there. 3 days later, a group of Emperor Wus will work together to explore it. As he spoke, Old Man Luo placed his hand on Elder Feng's shoulder and checked the condition of his body. He could not help but frown. There were actually 8 strands of primordial energy left in Elder Feng's body. Furthermore, each strand was extremely condensed and had a layer of purple sparks. Not hurting Elder Feng was going to be a little difficult. Xiaochen's eyes flickered, his expression uncertain. He did not understand how this information was useful to him. The distant sea dragon grave was one of the 8 great forbidden lands. Every decade or century, there would be Emperor Wu's experts working together to explore it. This was very normal. As a remnant, it would be abnormal if no cultivators went to explore it. Strange. Based on your appearance, you don't seem to know that the ancient dragon race and the Dragon's Gate have a close relationship. You don't seem to be curious about the depths at all. Old Man Luo observed Xiaochen's expression as he removed the restriction on Elder Feng. There is such a thing? A light flashed in Xiaochen's eyes. He raised his hand and removed the restriction on Elder Feng, allowing him to heave a sigh of relief and stand up quickly. When Luo Zhen saw Xiaochen remove the restriction on Elder Feng, he also heaved a sigh of relief. It would be very easy for him to destroy these 8 strands of primordial energy. Luo Zhen's understanding and usage of primordial energy far surpassed Xiaochen's. Unfortunately, this energy was controlled by Xiaochen. If Xiaochen wanted to, he could use the restriction formed by the primordial energy to kill Elder Feng before Luo Zhen, even though Luo Zhen was already here. It looked like this white-clad youth before Luo Zhen was not as arrogant as he appeared to be. He knew when to stop when things had reached a certain point. In the future, I will leave the southern part of the city to your Green Dragon Chamber of Commerce. Consider it the price for Heavenly Essence Chamber of Commerce's reckless actions. It was better to have a friend than an enemy. Clearly, Xiaochen now had the value to befriend Luo Zhen, a minor Heavenly Realm Emperor Wu. Since things had already reached this point, he might as well take a step back and do Xiaochen a favor. Xiaochen smiled faintly and did not stand on ceremony, accepting the other party's concession. He had already achieved his goal of establishing his might. If he continued to demand an exorbitant price, he would not know when to stop. Whoosh! Luo Zhen quickly left this place with Elder Feng, flying towards Treasure Dragon Island. They moved so fast that no one could see them. Senior Luo, why did you let this brat off? Given your strength, defeating him should be an easy task. Elder Feng, who was in the air, appeared unconvinced and confused. A junior had forced him to kneel on the ground. This was something he found hard to swallow. Luo Zhen replied indifferently. So what? He has the Thunder King and the newly advanced Haotian Prime behind him. It is not like we can kill him. We can humiliate him. Since he made me kneel, you can make him kneel as well. Elder Feng immediately said. Luo Zhen retorted indifferently. You are overthinking this. You made 2 mistakes in this matter. First, you were in the wrong first. His Rossi humiliated you for no reason at all. I do not mind teaching him a lesson. Second, you are blind. Can't you tell that once he advances to Martial Emperor, he will be like Jin Lin transforming into a dragon? You are still thinking of how to humiliate such a person. Do you want to wait until he becomes a dragon and bites you to death in one bite? When Elder Feng heard this, he felt stifled, not knowing how to rebut. Luo Zhen said indifferently, get over it. If he did not have the Thunder King behind him, killing him would be the best choice. Since you cannot kill him, this is the best course of action. Actually, this is not your fault. Without advancing to Martial Emperor, your horizons are too limited. You cannot see things too far. Elder Feng's expression dimmed. These words truly stung him. To him, becoming Emperor Wu was an extravagant hope. He would never know what that mysterious circle was like in this lifetime. Even though Elder Feng knew that his horizons were limited, he did not know where they were. Just thinking about it made him feel sorrowful. In the city, after Xiao Chun and Kim Tae-ho asked about Heavenly Star Island, and found out that everything was fine there, they started asking about the distant sea dragon grave. Originally, Xiao Chun did not think much of the distant sea dragon grave, a great forbidden land. Previously, when Xiao Chun came to the Dragon Grave Sea, he did not have any thoughts of going to the distant sea dragon grave to explore it and search for fortuitous encounters. However, this time, after hearing Luo Jun say that the ancient dragon clan and the Dragon's Gate were inextricably linked, he could not help but feel tempted. Furthermore, Xiao Chun's strength had increased greatly, and he had condensed the heart of an emperor. It should be much safer for him to enter the distant sea dragon grave. The news he had gathered from various sources had thoroughly piqued Xiao Chun's interest. News from too long ago could not be verified. However, 10,000 years ago, the Qing Emperor had entered and exited the distant sea dragon graveyard 8 times. This was a piece of news that could be verified. Even now, the distant sea dragon grave still retained many remnants of the battles from 10,000 years ago. The Dragon's Gate had a long history. Perhaps only the current clan head of the Sky Dome Realms, Xiao Clan, knew how long it had been around for. However, it was certain that it was definitely more than 10,000 years old. At the very least, there was already a complete inheritance in the ancient era before the Hundred Race War. Before the Qing Emperor, the Dragon's Gate also had a glorious past. Several of the Dragon's Gate's sect masters had explored the distant sea dragon grave. However, it was too long ago, so this information could not be verified. The only one who could be sure was the Qing Emperor. Xiao Chun sorted out the information in his hand and muttered, "If this information is true, then what exactly is in the distant sea dragon grave that attracted the successive sect masters of the Dragon's Gate to rush over?" The ancient dragon race was filled with suspicions. Unfortunately, to find out all this, one had to infiltrate the core of the distant sea dragon grave. Given Xiao Chen's current strength, he estimated that it should not be a problem for him to wander around the periphery of the distant sea dragon grave. He should be able to enter and leave safely. However, if he went into the depths, it would be hard to return. As for the core region, there was no need to even think about it. That was a place that even the greater Heavenly Emperor Wu had to be careful about. Even sovereign martial emperors might not dare to say that they could come and go as they pleased. Right now there was an opportunity. 3 days later, a group of Emperor Wu would be working together to explore the depths of the distant sea dragon grave. Xiao Chun could follow them and fish in troubled waters. Although he could not go to the core region, it would be much better than wandering around the periphery. Perhaps he might be able to discover something in the depths. Xiao Chun had never been a hesitant person. After thinking for a while, he made his decision. Go. There were still 3 days. Xiao Chun could use this time to stabilize his cultivation and make his preparations. It was already late at night. Xiao Chun sat cross-legged in a cultivation room in a quiet courtyard. Then he used the heart of an emperor to open that mysterious door of space and time again. The world behind the door was still hazy, distant and unfathomable. It was vast and majestic, mysterious and unfathomable. It inspired reverence in one's heart, not daring to profane it. Xiao Chun carefully absorbed the primordial energy spreading in the world behind the door. Strands of pure white energy dripped down. Compared to the first time, Xiao Chun could no longer obtain a complete strand of primordial energy in one go. Not to mention 10 strands, he could not even obtain 1 strand. It was all this sort of tiny drops of primordial mist power that left one dispirited and dispirited. Xiao Chun did not know when he would be able to form a complete strand of primordial energy. Now that he thought about it, it was no wonder Ao Jiao had said that obtaining 10 strands of primordial energy the first time was already a lot. However, after holding on for about 15 minutes, the heart of an emperor could no longer hold on to open this primordial door. Xiao Chun calmed himself down and stopped thinking. He infused all the primordial raindrops he absorbed into the heart of an emperor, infusing them into the 10 strands of primordial energy. With Xiao Chun's hard work over the past half a month, the originally pure white primordial energy had already turned purple after Xiao Chun infused his law energy into it. With the lightning attribute, Xiao Chun would be able to use it with greater ease when using it. Xiaochen had already successfully infused 3,000 of the 20,000 law energy around the heart of an emperor. Chapter 1229. Under Xiaochen's meticulous cultivation, the originally weak strands of primordial energy became increasingly denser. As they swam about, the force they carried grew stronger. After Xiaochen finished cultivating the primordial energy, he immediately took out an essence stone and started to absorb the spiritual energy in it without any fear. The 10 strands of primordial energy were like babies waiting to be fed, and the heavenly laws were the best food. Right now, Xiaochen no longer faced any bottlenecks. He was no longer in the predicament of having a large number of resources, but being stuck at the bottleneck of the great perfection blue-robed emperor, unable to use them. Now he only feared having too few resources, not having too many. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. However, when Xiaochen ended his cultivation, the 10 strands of purple primordial energy had clearly deepened. There was still one more day before they had to depart. Hence, Xiaochen did not rush to the distant sea dragon grave. Instead, he searched through the universe ring before taking out the cycle banner. He had not used this secret treasure for a long time already. This time, it was time to refine it and turn it into a trump card for his fight with Emperor Wu. 5 of the cycle banner's thrones had already been refined into astral pearls. The Massacre Throne, the Death Throne, the Ruin Throne, the Grief Throne and the Despair Throne. Only the Pain Throne and the Destruction Throne remained. As for the news of the last 2 thrones, Xiaochen had spent a lot of money to get the Kunlun Realm's intelligence department to help him search for them. Xiaochen had also asked many of his good friends for help. However, there had been no news. In the end, the destruction and pain of the 2 thrones seemed to have vanished without a trace. There were no traces at all. Xiaochen could not rush such a thing. Who knew, there might not be any news at all. Then, when the opportunity arrived, he might accidentally find news of the thrones. Not to mention the news of the last 2 thrones, the cycle banner, which already had 5 thrones, possessed extraordinary might. However, Xiaochen did not use any secret treasures. As a bladesman, he trusted the saber in his hand and his own strength more. Xiaochen did not spend any time refining the cycle banner a second time. Right now, Xiaochen had no choice but to refine it. He did not know what dangers he would run into in the distant sea dragon grave. One more trump card was one more chance of survival. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen put away the cycle banner and walked out of the cultivation room. Then, he flew away from the island where a large number of cultivators gathered and found a deserted island on the surface of the sea. Refining the cycle banner would definitely cause a huge commotion. If they did not find a quiet place, it would be inconvenient to do so. The deserted island beneath their feet was barren, except for oddly shaped rocks and barren hills. Looking up at the starry sky in the dark night, it was vast and serene. Xiaochen pushed off the ground and landed at the peak of the desolate mountain. With a thought, the cycle banner appeared in his hand. Then he swung the banner. The scarlet banner unfurled, and the 7 astral pearls on it glistened brightly. Instantly, countless starlight descended from the sky. Like a meteor shower, the deserted island suddenly became dreamy. The color of the astral pearls infused with the 5 thrones on the banner was even denser and more piercing. Even the pure black of the death astral pearl was eye-catching and piercing, looking very strange. Actually, the cycle banner in Xiaochen's hand had already surpassed the category of astral banners long ago. However, when he infused the thrones into it, it changed. However, the roots were still there. If Xiaochen wanted to refine it, he would need a large amount of resources. Fortunately, Xiaochen had just obtained the treasures that the Thunder King left behind, and did not lack resources. Xiaochen intended to melt down an emperor-grade secret treasure, and infuse the resources obtained from its decomposition into the cycle banner. Xiaochen had only one goal: to forge the cycle banner into a pseudo-emperor-grade secret treasure. Why did he add the word pseudo? It was because he could not bring out the full might of a true emperor-grade secret treasure. Without Emperor Wu's golden body, he would not be able to endure the pressure that an emperor-grade secret treasure brought to his body. The pseudo-emperor-grade secret treasure that Xiaochen wanted to refine would allow him to move freely and bring out 100% of its might. Furthermore, Its grade far surpassed that of a peak king-grade secret treasure. After thinking about it, Xiaochen could only describe the newly refined cycle banner as a pseudo-emperor-grade secret treasure. Among the treasures that the Thunder King left behind was a set of sabers, the 7 deadly sins. Every one of them was a divine weapon. Naturally, Xiaochen could not bear to melt them down. Aside from these, there were 4 emperor-grade secret treasures. After lending one to Su Tianyan, he still had 3 left. Emperor-grade secret treasures were very rare. Normally, the 9 ranks of the great families would only have 1 emperor-grade secret treasure passed down from generation to generation. Now Xiaochen had 3. If word of this got out, everyone would die of envy. A large group of Emperor Wu secret treasures. If these people knew that Xiaochen was vexed over which emperor-grade secret treasure to melt, they would probably feel like dying. I'll take this one, the profound water treasure armor. I have the blue dragon war body. Defense is not my weakness. Furthermore, a water-attributed treasure armor conflicts with my lightning-attributed body. After thinking about it for a while, Xiaochen finally made up his mind. He chose an emperor-grade secret treasure armor, preparing to use it to complete his cycle banner. If the Thunder King were still alive and saw you wasting the secret treasures he left behind, I wonder what he would think. Ao Jiao muttered from the immortal spirit ring. Xiaochen smiled happily and replied, he wouldn't think anything. Did you not see that the Thunder King did not even leave a mark on them? To the Thunder King, although these things are precious, they are actually burdens. He can only leave them there. I am making the best use of them. When he finds out, he will definitely feel gratified. He can finally use these eyesores. Ao Jiao's lips curled up as she said, sophistry. What I said is definitely the truth. Look, you don't even know how to refute it, Xiaochen said with a smile. Then he started to melt this emperor-grade secret treasure. Forging an emperor-grade secret treasure was extremely difficult. However, destroying it from the inside was very easy. First, Xiaochen left a spiritual mark on the emperor-grade secret treasure to recognize him as its master. Then he broke the hidden formations in the flowing cloud treasure armor one by one. When all the formations were broken, the profound water treasure armor suddenly released a resplendent light. A strong emperor's might soared into the sky. The light illuminated the surrounding 50 kilometers like it was day. The dazzling light deterred anyone from looking at it directly. Xiaochen narrowed his eyes and said, fortunately, I had the foresight to find a sufficiently desolate island. Otherwise, who knows what kind of trouble this commotion would cause? The light did not last long. By the time it scattered, the profound water treasure armor had already broken down into thousands of different parts floating in the air. In the dark night, every part gave off a firefly-like light, looking beautiful and flawless. In the very center was a jewel giving off an aquamarine light. That was the profound water heart. This was the core divine material of this emperor-grade secret treasure. It could be said that without the profound water heart, the profound water treasure armor would not exist. Xiaochen's eyes lit up. Each of the thousands of parts represented 50 tons of peak divine materials. Furthermore, there was the profound water heart. With so many divine materials, he would definitely achieve his goal if he used them to refine the cycle banner. I'll refine the first astral pearl first, massacre. With a thought, the black astral pearl in the cycle banner automatically flew out. Xiaochen took out the dragon phoenix cauldron, and the astral pearl slowly fell into the cauldron with a thought. Light flickered in Xiaochen's left eye, and all the lunar true flame spewed out, spreading throughout the cauldron and burning fiercely. Then, with a wave of his hand, hundreds of emperor-grade secret treasure parts fell into the cauldron. Now there was a total of 5 tons of divine materials. If the experts of the Zodiac Hall saw such a scene, they would cry in agony. This was too extravagant. With 5 tons of divine materials, one could forge many peak astral banners with them. However, Xiaochen only used them to refine 1 astral pearl. Furthermore, it looked like he intended to continue using millions of tons of divine materials. This could not be helped. The others had been searching for resources everywhere with bitter expressions on their faces. However, Xiaochen was worried about how to use these resources and not let them go to waste in the universe ring. For the 5 astral pearls, Xiaochen used 40 million tons of divine materials. The banner used the remaining 10 million tons of divine materials. As for the profound water heart, Xiaochen used it on the scarlet banner, adding a profound water attribute to it. As the banner danced, it moved like waves. It was like a boundless ocean surging and roaring, causing the entire space to tremble. Dawn approached, and the morning sun peeked out. The warm sunlight swept away all the darkness in the world. At this moment, Xiaochen also finished refining the cycle banner. He grasped the banner pole and waved it ferociously. The banner unfurled and fluttered in the wind. The sound of rumbling water resounded in the world, surging endlessly. On the surface of the sea around the deserted island, huge waves rose up, stretching for hundreds of miles. Massacre, ruin, death, grief, and despair. The 5 astral pearls on the banner suddenly gave off a bright light. Boundless starlight poured down. The originally bright sky above them suddenly turned completely dark. The light of the cycle banner completely outshone the morning sun, causing night to descend once more. When one looked up, one could see the stars filling the sky. 5-colored starlight flickered, and the cycle banner gave off a destructive astral energy. As Xiaochen held the banner pole, he could clearly feel the energy contained in the astral banner. With a shout, Xiaochen spun the banner around like a spear. Then, he gently stabbed the cycle banner into the ground. Boom! Without a sound, the desolate island under their feet was instantly shattered by the 5-colored starlight contained in the war flag, turning it into dust and ashes. A huge black hole appeared out of nowhere on the vast sea, looking extremely horrifying. Xiaochen's figure flashed backward, and the whirlpool formed by the black hole created a huge wave that soared into the clouds. As Xiaochen watched the huge wave soar into the sky, he felt a sense of pride in his chest as he held the cycle banner. When the huge wave fell, Xiaochen unfurled the cycle banner and waved it on the sea to his heart's content. Massacre, death, ruin, grief, and despair. The states of 5 different attributes merged with the starlight, releasing a 5-colored light. Under the night sky, as Xiaochen waved the banner, the cycle banner erupted with startling energy on the surface of the sea. As he waved it, starlight exploded, the ground rumbled, and the entire space trembled. However, although this cycle banner can injure an ordinary Emperor Wu with its current might, it is far from enough to make him feel fear. Xiaochen held the war banner in his hand as he stood in the air. Heavy rain poured endlessly in the sky. Chapter 12:30. The rain mixed with the starlight falling. In the night sky filled with stars, it formed a magnificent, dreamlike scene. Xiaochen allowed the rain to fall as he calmly observed the might of the cycle banner. Ao Jiao had explained to Xiaochen before. Aside from Prime, Emperor Wu had 3 major realms: Minor Heavenly Emperor Wu, Greater Heavenly Emperor Wu, and Sovereign Martial Emperor. Each realm had 3 minor heavens. Together, they were Emperor Wu's 9 heavens. The first heaven, second heaven, and third heaven were all minor Heavenly Emperor Wu. Every time he broke through a heaven, he would have to face a strong lightning tribulation. After clearing it, his strength would improve greatly, reborn, gaining new comprehensions and breakthroughs in all aspects. If he could not clear it, naturally he would die under the lightning tribulation. However, most Emperor Wu would not choose to break through unless he was completely confident. At this realm, few people could maintain the ferocity and drive they had before advancing to Martial Emperor. Emperor Wu had a long lifespan and was highly respected. He was aloof and respected by everyone. Under such conditions, most people cherished their lives. Of course, there were also crazy people who would undergo 2 or even 3 lightning tribulations at once, defying the heavens. In history, such people were usually either lunatics or peerless geniuses, existences that could lead an era. Every 3 heavens, there would be a major breakthrough, entering a brand new realm. If one could clear the 9 heavens, they would be known as Prime. Was there a peak after Prime? No one dared to say for sure. Although Xiaochen was not Emperor Wu yet, he had already condensed the heart of an emperor and could cultivate primordial energy. His physical body had already reached the half-step golden body realm. He was only half a step away from Emperor Wu. Xiaochen estimated that the current cycle banner could injure the minor Heavenly Emperor Wu, who was at the first heaven of Emperor Wu. However, it was not enough to make the other party fear it, making it a true trump card. A pseudo-emperor grade secret artifact is indeed a pseudo-emperor grade secret artifact. Although I can control it freely, it is still slightly inferior to an emperor grade secret artifact. Xiao Chun, who was in the air, said with some distress. Suddenly, as he pressed his hand on the flagpole and the 5 rays of starlight, an idea flashed in his mind. Would it form the strongest strike of the cycle banner if Xiao Chun completely merged the 5 states of massacre, destruction, death, grief, and despair, which contained astral energy? Thinking of this, Xiao Chun immediately took action. He grasped the banner pole and swung it in the air, using primordial energy to drive the cycle banner. Then, it started to absorb as much of the astral energy in the sky as possible. The blood-colored flag unfurled and fluttered in the wind, rumbling non-stop. Under Xiao Chun's crazy absorption, the scattered starlight in the sky completely gathered together and condensed into 5 light pillars that pierced through the sky. 5 beams of light of different colors lined up and landed on Xiao Chun's back in unison. Immediately, a boundless water screen appeared on the surface of the sea, reflecting the starlight. This water screen, which spanned 500 kilometers and was tens of thousands of meters tall, looked very dazzling. With one glance, one would be mesmerized by it, looking like a dreamy paradise. The 5 completely merged states made the gorgeous cycle banner look plain and simple. However, as Xiao Chun held the banner pole, he felt like he was holding a mountain range. It was incredibly heavy and filled with explosive energy. The 5 kinds of energy struggled to maintain a balance in the seemingly ordinary banner. They were like silent volcanoes. Once they erupted, they would shake the world. Sweat trickled down Xiao Chun's forehead. He found this somewhat strenuous, finding it hard to maintain that balance. Xiao Chun forcefully calmed himself and shouted. He waved the banner, and it became like a spear as he thrust it at the space in front. Whoosh! The water screen behind Xiao Chun shot out and turned into raindrops of multicolored light falling down. A perfect black hole silently appeared where the tip of the banner pointed. There were no cracks or openings at the edges of the hole, piercing through space. As the panting Xiao Chun looked at that black hole, these words immediately appeared in his mind. This black hole before Xiao Chun was very different from the spatial tears of the past. In the past, no matter how strong the martial techniques were, they would only cause some instability in space, creating cracks that would automatically mend after a while. This black hole completely pierced through space. Furthermore, the force behind it was very strong. It was impossible to mend it quickly. Space was like a complicated building. The space of the Kunlun realm was not only firm but also very resilient. Piercing through space required Emperor Wu to be at least a 3rd heaven martial emperor, or the peak strike of an emperor-grade secret treasure. For the cycle banner to reach this point, the word fate could already be removed from its name. It was now a bona fide emperor-grade secret treasure. Furthermore, it could allow Xiao Chun to control it as he pleased. Thinking of this, Xiao Chun could not help laughing loudly. Right now, it was already comparable to an emperor-grade secret treasure. In that case, when the Pain Throne and the Destruction Throne were gathered, it would advance to an emperor-grade secret treasure. Its might would rival the primordial emperor-grade secret treasures of the 5 major races. After laughing enough, Xiao Chun calmed down and said, "Thinking about that now is too far away. The important thing is before me. I finally have a trump card that I can use to challenge the minor heavenly Emperor Wu." Xiao Chun put away the cycle banner, and all the mysterious phenomena immediately vanished. The night sky vanished, and the morning sun reappeared. A warm gaze swept over without fear. The entire sea turned golden. As Xiao Chun looked at the boundless sea, he was in a good mood. It is time to go to the distant sea dragon grave. Xiao Chun calmed his emotions and took out the sea chart. Then he located the distant sea dragon grave. Then he swiped his finger and stopped on an island. This was the largest island of the Dragon Grave Sea, Treasure Dragon Island. All the cultivators adventuring in the distant sea dragon grave would use this island as their last stop. They would either recruit companions or buy medicinal pills. There were all sorts of things that adventurers needed. No matter what grade of dragon grave one went to explore, they would use this place as their last stop. Even the distant sea dragon grave was no exception. Xiaochen pushed off with his feet and unfurled the freedom wings. Then he executed Thunder Dragon steps and rushed towards Treasure Dragon Island at lightning speed. He was so fast that he looked like a purple bolt of lightning. Xiaochen moved like a roaming dragon, moving without a trace. Using his fastest speed, Xiaochen arrived at Treasure Dragon City in less than 7 minutes. After arriving at the restaurant that led to the underground market, Xiaochen spent a large sum of money to obtain the information he wanted from a consummation blue-robed emperor. Hehe. There is indeed a group of Emperor Wus preparing to explore the distant Sea Dragon Grave. All the half-step Emperor Wus of the Dragon Grave Sea have already heard the news and are rushing over. Xiaochen looked at the somewhat ruffian middle-aged man across him and asked, "Why are the half-step Emperor Wus rushing over?" The middle-aged man who took 100,000 black astral coins from Xiaochen chuckled and said, "Naturally, to be cannon fodder." "That works too? There are people fighting to be cannon fodder?" Xiaochen could not understand. The middle-aged man's lips curled up as he looked at Xiaochen with an expression that said, "That will depend on where you are going. This is a great forbidden land, the distant Sea Dragon Grave. Not to mention, even if you want to go, it will depend on whether those Emperor Wus are willing to use you or not. If I were a half-step Emperor Wus, I would go as well. A great forbidden land. How tempting is that? This is how cultivators are. There will always be some fortuitous encounters. Even though one knows how dangerous it is, one will still not be able to resist the temptation." Xiaochen nodded, understanding the principle behind this. This was a matter of mutual consent. For the sake of caution, or because there were not enough people, these Emperor Wus needed some cannon fodder to scout the way. Those half-step Emperor Wus did not have the ability to enter the distant Sea Dragon Grave themselves. Even though they knew that they would be used as cannon fodder, they still wanted to borrow Emperor Wu's strength to explore the distant Sea Dragon Grave. "Tell me where it is. I'll rush over," Xiaochen said after some thought. The other party did not dare to believe what he said. The somewhat ruffian middle-aged man laughed and sized up Xiaochen. Then he waved his hand and said, "Brother, I admit that it is a bit of a scam to take so many black astral coins from you. However, I sincerely advise you not to go. Of course, I am not worried that you will not be able to return from the distant Sea Dragon Grave. Unless those Emperor Wus are blind, you will not be able to go with your strength. I am afraid that those half-step Emperor Wus will find trouble for you and humiliate yourself." When Xiaochen heard this, he smiled, feeling somewhat amused. He asked, "What is your name? You are rather honest with your words." "Just a lousy name with no reputation at all. My surname is Feng, and my given name is Buyu. The cool breeze does not speak. It comes slowly and drifts away." The middle-aged man calmly accepted Xiaochen's praise and introduced himself in a poetic manner. Xiaochen nodded and repeated it in his heart. Then he nodded and said, "Remember, the cool breeze does not speak. Now, you can tell me where that group of Emperor Wus are recruiting half-step Emperor Wus." Feng Buyu exclaimed in shock. "You really want to go?" Xiaochen replied calmly, "Naturally, I have to go. Otherwise, why do you think I gave you 100,000 black astral coins? I am not a fool or a fool. I am just in a rush." Feng Buyu put down his wine cup and gave Xiaochen a thumbs up. "You are strong. Let me tell you. Head south of the city. There is a mountain manor built by a lake. That is the Dragon Slayer's mountain manor. This time, he is the one leading Emperor Wu's recruitment." Dragon Slayer? When Xiaochen heard this name, he felt somewhat uncomfortable. As the inheritor of the Qing Emperor, Xiaochen was conferred the title of Blue Dragon King. Now that this person was called the Dragon Slayer, he could not help but feel strange. "Yes, that's him. I heard that this fellow comes from the heavenly starry ocean. He does not spend much time in the Dragon Grave Sea every year. However, he is a legend of the Dragon Grave Sea," Feng Buyu said. "From the heavenly starry ocean?" This piqued Xiaochen's interest. He looked at Feng Buyu and asked, "What do you mean?" Feng Buyu smiled faintly. After hesitating for a while, he said, "When I sell people's information, I never give it away for free. However, the 2 pieces of information today are not much. Let me tell you a little more. The Dragon Slayer's cultivation does not look high, but he gives off an unfathomable feeling. Even I do not dare to enter some of the dragon graves that he has entered. Even some of the half-step Emperor Wus do not dare to do so. Feng Buyu poured himself a cup of wine. Then he continued. He has explored thousands of dragon graves. Every time he goes on a mission, he definitely gains something. This is how the name of the Dragon Slayer came about. The most miraculous scene is that he once entered the distant sea dragon grave alone, and came out alive. Chapter 1231. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. His cultivation was not high, but he could come and go as he pleased in the various dangerous dragon graves. There was only one explanation. He had the unique ability to restrain the various dragon race guards and primeval dragon might. Although this ability was rare, it was not non-existent. For example, the Ho ghost that Xiao Chen once saw. It fed on dragons and swallowed them like eating earthworms. It was the natural nemesis of the dragon race. Hearing Feng Buyu say this, Xiao Chen became even more interested. Who exactly was this mysterious dragon slayer? His cultivation was not high, but he could come and go as he pleased in the various dragon graves. He even went through the distant sea dragon grave. Thank you for your advice. I'm leaving. Xiao Chen smiled faintly and drank to his heart's content. Then he drifted away. Feng Buyu held his wine cup and looked at Xiao Chen's back. He shook his head and smiled. These days there are all kinds of people. Why is a consummation blue-robed emperor trying to get involved in the excitement of a half-step Emperor Wu? I, Feng Buyu, know my own limits. The cool breeze does not speak. It comes slowly and drifts away. However, the cool breeze does not speak. I think slowly do not come. As soon as he finished speaking, he really flew away like the wind, leaving the restaurant in a fluttering manner. The location that Feng Buyu mentioned was easy to find. After Xiao Chen left the city, he wore a mask that covered half of his face. After walking 5 kilometers to the south, he saw a manor by the lake. There was a signboard on the door, Dragon Slaying Manor. There was a couplet on the left and right sides. The first line was, I have the courage to search the world's dragon graves. The second line was, I have the passion to kill all the berserk dragons in the world. It was an ordinary couplet. There was nothing literary about it. Strictly speaking, it could not even be considered a couplet. However, in Xiao Chen's opinion, this was probably done on purpose by the manor lord to show off his arrogance and dominance. How arrogant! Let's see what kind of background this dragon slayer has. Xiao Chen's lips curled up slightly. He walked towards the door and was stopped by the guards. What are you doing? Today, the beheading dragon villa is recruiting the half-step Emperor Wu. Unrelated people are not allowed to enter, the guard said bluntly. As expected, they were all the same. The dragon slayer was boundlessly arrogant. Even his guards were condescending. Even his strength on the surface was at the level of a great perfection blue-robed emperor, which was far from what the 2 lesser mastery blue-robed emperors could compare to. However, he still had an arrogant look on his face, looking high and mighty. As Xiao Chen pondered how to get in, he caught sight of a stone stele off to the side. He smiled faintly as he came up with an idea. If I can light up all the purple gems on the 6th row in an instant, I should be qualified to enter. The 2 lower mastery blue-robed emperors sneered. You think you can light up all the purple gems in an instant? Don't joke around. Quickly scram. Without the strength of a half-step Emperor Wu, don't even think about lighting up all the purple gems. Don't overthink it. That stone stele is not for you to test. It is just to test whether the strength of some half-step Emperor Wu is sufficient. Xiao Chen smiled faintly. I am not overthinking it. Whoosh! Xiao Chen's figure flashed, and he casually punched. Amid the flickering light, aside from the golden gems on the 7th row, all the gems lit up. Xiao Chen did it easily, without any difficulty. Looking at the 2 dumbfounded guards, Xiao Chen withdrew his fist in satisfaction. That was a little too fast. How easy. It feels like there is no pressure at all. Several of the half-step emperor, who had to take a deep breath before they dared to make a move. Before advancing to great perfection blue-robed emperor, Xiao Chen could easily light up 7 purple gems. After advancing to great perfection blue-robed emperor, Xiao Chen's heavenly laws no longer differed from those of a half-step Emperor Wu. Hence, lighting up all the gems in an instant was naturally incredibly easy. In fact, if Xiao Chen wanted to use his primordial energy, he could even light up the golden gems that the half-step Emperor Wu could never light up. However, there was no need to be too shocking. Xiao Chen was not in a rush to expose his strength. Come with me. The guard on the left no longer dared to underestimate Xiao Chen's strength. His attitude became much more respectful as he led Xiao Chen into the manor. There were winding corridors, gardens, and fake mountains. The scenery inside the manor was unique and elegant. Soon, Xiao Chen arrived at a pavilion. Then he saw the other half-step Emperor Wus that had come because of its fame. When Xiao Chen counted carefully, he found that there were quite a lot of people, close to 20 half-step Emperor Wus. It looked like Fengbuyu was right. Nearly all the half-step Emperor Wus of the entire Dragon Grave Sea had rushed over. Wait here. The Manor Lord will bring a few Lord Emperor Wus out later. There will be another test. After leaving behind these words, the manor guard quickly left. Whoosh. Right after the guard left, Xiao Chen felt many gazes on him. These gazes contained shock, disdain, doubt, and confusion. Brother, you must have come to the wrong place. The one being recruited here is a half-step Emperor Wus, not a consummation blue-robed emperors. A tall and sturdy man wearing beast skins in the pavilion said with a disdainful smile as he looked at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen found an empty spot and sat down. Then he replied calmly, I know. However, I do not feel that I am any weaker than a half-step Emperor Wus. This serious answer immediately caused the entire hall to roar with laughter. Many of the older elders could not help but reveal a slight smile. Based on this voice, the person wearing the mask was a youth. Youths tended to be arrogant. They thought that the world revolved around them, not knowing how high the sky was or how deep the earth was. Sometimes, they became a joke in the eyes of others, yet they did not know it. The man in beast skins laughed the loudest. So it is a fool. To think that I actually spoke to a fool. Never mind, I can't be bothered with you. Just at this moment, footsteps rang out. Looking from the end of the small path, a youth led 4 or 5 people over. The Dragon Slayer is here. The half-step Emperor Wus in the pavilion immediately stopped smiling and sat up properly. Under the mask, Xiao Chen clearly saw the Dragon Slayer's face. His heart skipped a beat. How can it be him? The Dragon Slayer leading the 5 blue-robed emperors was none other than the young treasure master, Yi Ling, whom Xiao Chen had met several times in the heavenly starry ocean. Thinking back to the first time they met, Xiao Chen felt some fear for this person for some reason. The other party's cultivation was clearly not as high as Xiao Chen's, but he instilled fear in Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen recalled the first time they met in the treasure master's residence. The other party had offered him the 3rd cup of wine, making many people unhappy. Now that Xiao Chen thought about it, could there be a deeper meaning to it? Could it be that it was not just because of the several tens of millions of black astral coins? Xiao Chen felt shocked. However, he quickly recovered his wits and calmed down. Fortunately, he had put on a mask before coming, covering his face. Furthermore, he had used the foundation returning art to hide his identity. Hence, the other party should not recognize him. Xiao Chen could not figure it out. He really could not figure it out. This young treasure master, who was so refined in the heavenly starry ocean and did not reveal his sharpness, had such an arrogant side to him, even gaining the title of Dragon Slayer in the Dragon Grave Sea. In terms of sharpness and ambition, this fellow should not be any weaker than the outstanding talents of the heavenly starry ocean. However, he had hidden himself so well. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Young Mastery. Seeing Yi Ling arrive, the group of half-step Emperor Wus stood up and respectfully greeted him. The title of Dragon Slayer seemed to be very popular in the Dragon Grave Sea. This Yi Ling was just a great perfection blue-robed emperor. However, he managed to make the group of half-step Emperor Wus submit, not daring to show any disrespect. Yi Ling could even attract Emperor Wu's attention to explore the distant sea dragon grave together. However, Yi Ling's cultivation on the surface might not be the real deal. Right now, Xiao Chen already viewed Yi Ling as a dangerous person. Perhaps this fellow was like Xiao Chen, having many trump cards. As a great perfection blue-robed emperor, he could kill a half-step Emperor Wu's expert. Xiao Chen's expression did not change as he sized up the 5 Emperor Wus by Yiling's side. With one glance, he determined that they were all minor heavenly Emperor Wus. The strongest was the red-haired, middle-aged man to Yiling's left. He should be a second heaven layer Emperor Wu. As for the other 4 Emperor Wus, they were only Emperor Wu's first heaven layer. Even so, as long as they were Emperor Wus, they could already look down on everyone here. Interesting. You are a consummation blue-robed emperor. Why are you here? Yiling casually greeted everyone. Then he shifted his gaze to Xiao Chen. However, I specially invited 2 small perfection blue-robed emperors to stand at the gates in case someone tried to fish in troubled waters. You should have something extraordinary about you for them to come in. That's fine. The test will start with you then. Initially, Xiao Chen felt somewhat nervous, worried that Yiling would figure out his identity. After he heard that, he heaved a sigh of relief. However, it would be somewhat problematic to be the first to take the test. He did not know what kind of strength he had to display to avoid arousing the suspicions of others. Furthermore, he did not know how to test himself. There were too many uncertain factors. It would be fine to be more cautious. My cultivation is the lowest. Can I be the last to take the test? Xiao Chen asked, changing his tone. What a coward. I'll do it. Before Yiling could say anything, the cultivator in beast skin who had argued with Xiao Chen first gave Xiao Chen a disdainful look and stepped forward. A light flashed in Yiling's eyes. Without thinking too much, he said to an old man on the right, Old Hong, I'll leave it to you. The gray-robed Old Hong nodded and stepped forward. Since all of you can light up 9 purple gems, that means that your offensive power is sufficient. The test of the second stage is defense. The test is very simple. The person who can stand up after receiving a palm strike of 30% of my strength will pass. The moment Old Hong said that, the expressions of the 20-odd half-step Emperor Wu cultivators in the pavilion immediately changed. Emperor Wu was a first heaven layer expert. How were they supposed to receive a palm strike of 30% of their strength? Even if they defended with all their might, they would be severely injured. Fortunately, the rules were rather loose. As long as they could stand up, it did not matter how injured they were. If the results of the test were different, these 20-odd people would all die. The stout man in beast skin appeared somewhat nervous. He somewhat regretted stepping forward first. However, since he already stepped forward, there was no turning back. Bang! Just as the stout man was about to say something to get ready, Old Hong suddenly made a move, landing a palm strike on the chest of the cultivator in beast skin. This palm strike looked very simple. However, the half-step Emperor Wu present all had very good eyesight. They could tell that this palm strike contained at least 10 strands of primordial energy. Chapter 1232. Indeed, Xiao Chen was serious, not feigning at all. He directly used the primordial energy that only martial emperors possessed. Wuxia. The beast skin cultivator was immediately knocked back and vomited blood. He fell into the pond outside the pavilion and splashed up. Then he never came out again, his fate unknown. Such a scene sent a chill down everyone's spine. At the same time, they felt somewhat angry. Why did the bona fide Emperor Wu make a move without saying anything? Xiao Chen thought to himself, I got lucky. Fortunately, I was cautious. Otherwise, even if I could receive this sudden palm strike, I would not have ended up well. When Xiao Chen saw the beast skin cultivator fall into the water, he felt some schadenfreude. After all, this fellow had taken the lead in mocking him. Old Hong said indifferently, Don't scold me in your heart. He will not die. I held back. There are too many uncertain dangers in the distant sea dragon grave. The guards of the dragon grave will not give you a heads up before making a move. If you do not have the ability to adapt, you can leave now. The many half-step Emperor Wu remained silent for a while. They felt that Old Hong's words made some sense. I'll do it. After a while, a middle-aged man with burn marks on his face walked out. This time, Xiao Chen was prepared. When he stepped forward, he circulated all his law energy and activated the peak quality king grade secret treasure he wore. Old Hong did not waste any words. He also sent out a palm strike that looked simple, but could easily crush a mountain. Another muffled bang rang out, and one could see that the space where the palms met began to crack like a black spider web. The middle-aged man took 10 steps back. With each step, he vomited a mouthful of blood. After 10 steps, he knelt on one knee and wobbled. His complexion was frighteningly pale. Just as the middle-aged man looked like he was about to fall, his strong willpower allowed him to clench his teeth and roar ferociously as he stood up. When Xiaochen saw this, he felt shocked. What kind of persistence did this fellow have to be able to stand up after kneeling down? You pass. Old Hong casually waved his hand. He did not care that this person no longer had any combat prowess. As long as he could stand up, he would let him pass. Hearing this, the middle-aged man with the scar on his face heaved a sigh of relief and lay down. The test continued. Every time Senior Hong made a move, he would use 30% of his strength, neither more nor less. Some of them knelt down and couldn't stand up again. Some of them were directly blasted away by a palm strike and fell into the pool, following in the footsteps of the beast-skinned man. Emperor Wu, who was standing on the side, was cold and expressionless. Facing the half-step Emperor Wu, who was kneeling on the ground and gritting his teeth, he didn't show any emotion. Looking at the half-step Emperor Wu, it was as if he was inspecting the goods. As Xiaochen looked at the half-step martial emperors charging forward, his heart turned cold. He no longer had the schadenfreude that he had earlier. If one did not advance to martial emperor, one would be like a pig or a dog in the eyes of some people. More than 20 people finished the test, and only 6 people passed. The passing rate was far less than half. Seeing that Xiaochen was the only one who had not taken the test yet, everyone focused their attention on him. Senior Hong glanced at Xiaochen and said indifferently, "You may leave. I will not lower my standards just because you are a consummation blue-robed emperor. If I kill you by mistake, this old man will gain a bad reputation for bullying the younger generation. I will be mocked by the people in this circle." This was blatant disdain. Senior Hong did not spare Xiaochen out of pity, but because he feared a bad reputation. A sense of defeat welled up in Xiaochen's heart. Among those of the same generation, he stood proudly. However, in the eyes of Emperor Wu, he was still like an ant. However, Xiaochen was never one to be defeated by setbacks. His path to the peak had never wavered. "There's no need. Senior, feel free to send out this palm strike." Under the mask, Xiaochen stepped forward with his head held high. He did not lower his head or bend his back as he looked straight at the other party. A feeling of pride flowed in Xiaochen's chest. Everyone has their own pride. Even if you are a martial emperor, I will not cower in fear or lower my voice. Even after so many half-step Emperor Wu were beaten to the ground, Xiaochen could still step forward with his head held high, neither servile nor overbearing. This attracted many people's attention. The expressions of the people lying on the ground changed. They did not know where this mysterious masked person got his confidence from. A strange light flashed in Senior Hong's eyes. He felt somewhat displeased in his heart as he said coldly, "You asked for this. Don't blame me for being ruthless if I kill you with one palm strike." Xiaochen smiled and said, "If I die, how can I blame you? If Senior wants to make a move, then make a move." When these words came out, the half-step Emperor Wu, who was healing on the ground, could not help but laugh. Under such circumstances, Xiaochen was in the mood to tease, not knowing how to describe this young man. "In that case, I'll fulfill your wish." Senior Hong snorted coldly and quickly attacked. His seemingly plain palm strike moved like lightning, heading for Xiaochen's chest. Xiaochen narrowed his eyes. In the short instant that the other party attacked, he clearly saw that the other party had indeed used 10 strands of primordial energy. However, each strand was pure and condensed, containing the attribute of fire. Instantly, Xiaochen started thinking very quickly in his mind. 10 strands of primordial energy. Xiaochen happened to have 10 strands of primordial energy as well. If he used all of them, he could block this palm strike with light injuries. However, that would expose his trump card of having primordial energy as well. Xiaochen's physical body had already reached the level of a half-step golden body. After condensing the blue dragon battle armor, in terms of defense, he could rival an ordinary Emperor Wu's golden body. However, There was a difference in recovery rate, so he could block this palm strike. However, Xiaochen could not condense the blue dragon battle armor. Otherwise, Yiling would recognize him with one glance. Back then, when Xiaochen used the blue dragon battle armor to fight the myriad fiend islands Di Xinhan's heavenly spiritual body, Yiling had seen it. It was impossible for him not to know. Xiaochen had to think of a way to not expose his blue dragon battle armor, or his primordial energy. In that case, that was all he could do. Determination flashed in Xiaochen's eyes as he did something that no one expected. When facing Senior Hong's palm strike with 30% of his strength, Xiaochen took another step forward and suddenly punched. That was right. When Xiaochen faced a first heaven martial emperor expert like Emperor Wu, he chose to use offense as defense. When Xiaochen punched, he drove the 20 dragon force flowing in his body. A dragon roar sounded like rushing thunder. Dragon-shaped energy surged wildly in the small pavilion. When the berserk punch struck Senior Hong's palm, it was like it struck an immovable mountain. The other party did not move at all. The palm wind carried his body as it pressed toward Xiaochen. The dragon roar in Xiaochen's body was interrupted. The spinning dragon-shaped energy behind him also shattered, turning into a strong, chaotic wind that scattered in all directions. Xiaochen vomited a mouthful of blood and took a step back. As he looked at Senior Hong, who showed a cold smile and did not change his stance, he roared ferociously. Again. Xiaochen punched again and struck that ordinary palm strike. Then he took another step back. The rebound injured Xiaochen once more, injuring him once more. This time, the amount of blood he vomited was twice as much as the previous time. The two punches did not seem to have any effect. Senior Hong's palm strike did not stop at all. It only weakened slightly as it continued to press toward Xiaochen. Again, Xiaochen clenched his teeth and frowned under the mask. Then he gathered 20 dragon force again and punched with his left hand. Loud rumbling sounds rang out. Every time Xiaochen took a step back, he vomited a mouthful of blood. At the same time he punched again, doing what others would think was useless. In the blink of an eye, Xiaochen took 10 steps back. The entire manor shook under Xiaochen's roar. However, this manor was clearly extraordinary. There was a strong restriction. Otherwise, the pavilion would have been destroyed in the first test. This fellow. Everyone's expression turned grave. Whether it was the half-step Emperor Wu who failed or the half-step Emperor Wu who passed, shock flashed in their eyes. This was because they were shocked to discover that under Xiaochen's punches, the aura of Senior Hong's palm strike weakened significantly. Starting from the 7th punch, Senior Hong's body paused for a moment, visible to the naked eye. However, the price he paid was also extremely disastrous. With every punch, the masked young man's injuries would become even more severe. After 9 punches, the injuries stacked on top of each other. No one knew what the consequences would be. This was indeed a method. However, if it were them, they would not dare to try it. Bang! Another punch flew out. Xiaochen, who had already retreated to the edge of the pavilion, relied on his willpower to send out this final punch. 20 dragon force surged in Xiaochen's body. Dragon-shaped energy spiraled rapidly in the pond, causing waves to surge. This time, the dragon roar in Xiaochen's body did not get interrupted. The 20 dragon-shaped energy streams behind him did not scatter either. All this was because Senior Hong's palm strike had run out of energy. A strong wind howled, and the dragon roar sounded. Xiaochen's punch blocked the palm strike that had run out of energy. Instead, it forced the other party to take a step back. Senior Hong was startled and furious. He wanted to send out another palm strike to kill this stubborn youth before him. However, when he thought about how many people were watching and how he said that he would only use 30% of his strength, he retracted his hand in frustration. He retracted his hand angrily and flashed back. After looking at Xiaochen for 3 seconds, and seeing that the other party did not collapse, Senior Hong snorted coldly with some dissatisfaction. Very good. You passed. The surroundings fell silent. No one expected Xiaochen to pass the test. Furthermore, he even forced the exhausted Senior Hong to take a step back. Although Senior Hong was definitely not injured, a consummation great perfection blue-robed emperor knocked back Emperor Wu. If word of this got out, it would definitely shock the world, and and cause a huge commotion. More importantly, Xiao Chen was standing. As for the people in front of him, regardless of whether they passed the test or not, they all fell to their knees after receiving this palm strike. Either they fell to the ground and could not get up, or they gritted their teeth and stood up. However, from the start to the end, Xiao Chen did not kneel, even though he was clearly severely injured. If these people knew that Xiao Chen could receive this palm strike with light injuries if he wanted to, who knew what their expressions would be like? After Xiao Chen scattered his vast vital qi, the dragon roar stopped, and the strong wind scattered. Xiao Chen used his spiritual sense to check his injuries. His internal organs were all shattered, and several of his meridians had ruptured. Chapter 1233. If not for his half-step golden body, Xiao Chen would not have dared to clash head-on like this. However, Xiao Chen managed to endure. Even without using his primordial energy or the blue dragon battle armor, he still managed to block Emperor Wu's palm strike. Wait a moment. Take off your mask. Our operation this time is of great importance. We can't allow any unknown person to sneak in. Just as Xiao Chen prepared to treat his injuries, Old Hong suddenly said something that made the atmosphere tense. Old Hong already had a knot in his heart about Xiao Chen. He could not openly make a move on Xiao Chen, so he started to pester him endlessly. Old Hong had only said that he wanted to recruit half-step Emperor Wu. He had never said that he would ask about the other party's identity. Furthermore, the Dragon Grave Sea did not have the rule of asking about the background of others. This was an unwritten taboo among cultivators. However, Old Hong was Emperor Wu. Even if Old Hong wanted to pester him endlessly, he had to do as he said. Xiao Chen's heart sank. Unexpectedly, the other party was the bona fide Emperor Wu. To think that he would be so petty, purposely breaking the unwritten rules among cultivators. Xiao Chen did not believe that the other party did not know about this taboo. The other party had gone from blue-robed emperor to Emperor Wu step by step. Sorry, I cannot remove my mask. Forgive me for not being able to comply. Xiao Chen replied coldly. At the same time, he activated the cycle banner hidden in his body, preparing to flee at any moment. A murderous intent flashed in Old Hong's eyes. Immediately, everyone felt a huge pressure bearing down on them. This was the might of an emperor. It looks like you are indeed up to no good. It is just a mask. Why can't I remove it? If you are not going to remove it, I will help you remove it. Did the first Heaven Emperor Wu really think that he was unrivaled? With the other party's overbearing attitude, Xiao Chen felt enraged. Did the other party really think that he was an ant that he could squash as he pleased? With a thought, Xiao Chen prepared to take out the cycle banner and fight it out with the other party. Stop! Just as Xiao Chen prepared to make a move, the red-haired, middle-aged man beside Yi Ling, who had been silent all this while, suddenly spoke up. His figure flashed as he shielded Old Hong. Immediately, the heavy emperor's might disappeared. It was all blocked by the red-haired middle-aged man. Everyone felt the pressure on them lessen. Old Hong had not expected the red-haired, middle-aged man to make a move to stop him. He was clearly stunned. Although the other party was also a minor heavenly martial emperor, he was a second heaven martial emperor, one grade higher than Old Hong. If they were to really fight, he wouldn't be a match at all. Brother Hong, there is no need to lower yourself to the level of a junior. No matter where you go, there is no rule of probing other people's background. Don't you agree? The red-haired middle-aged man's tone was not fierce, which made Old Hong feel better. Yi Ling spoke appropriately. He smiled and said, Old Hong, don't be angry. If a consummation blue-robed emperor really harbors ill intentions, given your strength, you can deal with him in a few minutes. Old Hong also felt that he had been somewhat rash. The other party's punch had forced him back a small step, making him feel embarrassed. He, the bona fide Emperor Wu, actually got forced back by a junior. If word of this spread, he would become the laughingstock of Emperor Wu's circle. However, now was clearly not the right time to make a move. Since he had a way out of this embarrassing situation, he might as well go with the flow. Old Hong withdrew his emperor's might and looked coldly at Xiao Chen. On account of young Master Yi and Brother Zhao, I will not lower myself to your level today. I won't lower myself to your level today. You'd better behave yourself. Don't let me get hold of your weakness. Otherwise, you won't even be able to die. Yiling laughed and smoothed things over. Then he said, those who did not pass the test leave now. If there is an opportunity in the future, we can work together again. With the expulsion order, the cultivators who did not manage to stand up could only leave helplessly. Then, Yiling looked at the 7 people who passed the test, especially Xiaoqun. He continued, everyone please stay here and treat your injuries first. After you are healed, I will explain the details of our cooperation. After saying that, Yiling led the 5 Emperor Wu cultivators away with large strides. Before Old Hong left, he turned his head back and glanced at Xiaoqun. His gaze was clearly hostile. This was already the best outcome. Xiaoqun was not willing to fight to the death with the other party at this moment. Xiaoqun was still injured. If he fought now, it would be disadvantageous to him. However, based on Old Hong's expression, this matter clearly could not be settled amicably. Xiaoqun also felt depressed. Unexpectedly, there was someone so petty among Emperor Wu. Xiaoqun was just not willing to expose his strength. He did not intend to force the other party back and embarrass Old Hong. However, if the other party was really unreasonable, Xiaoqun would not fear him. If Xiaoqun did not make a move against him now, he would be more confident after Old Hong recovered from his injuries. Xiaoqun stopped thinking and tossed a peak-quality king-grade medicinal pill for treating injuries into his mouth. Then he sat down cross-legged and started to treat his injuries. As for the sage pill in the Thunder King's inheritance, Xiaoqun did not use it. He only had 3 sage-grade medicinal pills for treating injuries. Every time he used one, there would be one less. It was not time to use them yet. The people in the pavilion were all anxiously treating their injuries. The place was silent as time slowly passed. After half a day, Xiaoqun opened his eyes. His injuries were already mostly healed. All that was left was a period of time, and his body would recover on its own. This time, Xiaoqun was indeed severely injured. Given his half-step golden body cultivation, he had to spend a king-grade medicinal pill and half a day to recover. Xiaoqun looked around and saw that the other 6 half-step Emperor Wu cultivators were still treating their injuries and had not woken up yet. Since Xiaoqun had nothing to do, he started to simulate the fight with Old Hong in his mind. 20 dragon force was equivalent to 100 million kilograms of force. However, it still paled in comparison to the 10 strands of primordial energy. Xiaoqun estimated that he would need at least 100 dragon force to be able to face the other party head-on without suffering a loss. With just a casual palm strike, the other party was as steady as a mountain. His usage of primordial energy was much more proficient than the others. Furthermore, the 10 strands of primordial energy were clearly purer and more condensed than Xiaoqun's. Xiaoqun could only say that he was lucky to be able to endure it. Now that he thought about it, it was still too risky. Just as Xiaoqun was simulating the fight, the other 6 half-step Emperor Wu cultivators woke up one after another. When they looked at Xiaoqun, a strange light flashed in their eyes. As if they had a tacit understanding, 5 of them stood up at the same time and avoided Xiaoqun like the plague. Only the middle-aged man with the flame scar on his face did not avoid them. Instead, he stood up and walked over to Xiaoqun. As for the actions of those 5 people, Xiaoqun understood after thinking for a while. He had offended Old Hong. He had offended Old Hong and provoked the murderous intent of one of the Emperor Wu cultivators. These people were afraid of getting involved with Xiaoqun and incurring Old Hong's wrath on them. Xiaoqun understood what these people were thinking and did not mind. However, he did not understand the intentions of the middle-aged man walking over. You can sit here. Let me introduce myself. I am Wang Yuzhu, a supreme elder of a rank 8 sect in the Storm Sea. The middle-aged man said as if he was familiar with Xiaoqun. Xiaoqun made an inviting gesture and said, "Naturally you can. However, you have to tell me why the others avoided me like the plague. Why are you not afraid at all coming over?" Wang Yuzhu smiled helplessly. However, the scar on his face made this smile look rather unsightly. Could it be that by staying further away from you, we are no longer ants to their Emperor Wu? This question stunned Xiaoqun. These words were simple and incisive. However, some people could not understand them. I am Yichun. Of course, this is just an alias. Have a seat. Surprise flashed in Wang Yuzhu's eyes. This masked youth was truly unfathomable. He was not as simple as a consummation blue-robed emperor. The two sat down and chatted casually. Then, the topic naturally turned to the exploration of the distant sea dragon grave. Speaking of which, little brother Yi Chun, you are already a consummation blue-robed emperor at such a young age. Advancing to martial emperor in the future is just around the corner. Why are you taking the risk to enter the distant sea dragon grave like us? Furthermore, you are going in with a group of Emperor Wu who are clearly weaker than you. Xiao Chun thought for a while before replying. When my clan's ancestors were at their peak, every clan head would make a trip to the distant sea dragon grave. I want to know the reason. Of course, I do not hold much hope this time. I am just scouting the way so that I can find some useful information when I act alone in the future. As for why he went with this group of Emperor Wu, Xiao Chun did not say. Even if he did, Wang Yuzhu would not believe him. Xiao Chun probably had a trump card to protect himself from this group of Emperor Wu. Tell me about you. Why did you enter the distant sea dragon grave despite knowing that this group of Emperor Wu would use you as a pawn? Wang Yuzhu revealed a sorrowful expression. He replied in a somewhat sullen voice. Of course, it is to advance to martial emperor. Advance to martial emperor? Xiao Chun felt somewhat suspicious. The half-step emperor Wu already cleared the great tribulation of wind and fire once. Furthermore, he failed it. Could it be that he could undergo it again? Wang Yuzhu answered Xiao Chun's doubts. He explained, of course he can undergo it again. It is just that no one dares to try. After failing the great tribulation of wind and fire and luckily surviving, there will always be lingering hidden injuries in his body. If the hidden injuries are not treated, there is no way to survive the tribulation again. However, it is not impossible to treat such hidden injuries. Some of the divine herbs from the ancient era can treat the hidden injuries, giving the half-step Emperor Wu another chance to undergo the great tribulation of wind and fire again. Xiao Chun now understood. It turned out that there was such a principle. This was the first time he heard of it. This kind of divine herb that can treat hidden injuries should be very rare. Wang Yuzhu smiled bitterly and said, it is not just rare. Whether it is extinct or not is a mystery. I have not heard of such a divine herb appearing in the world for several thousand years already. When Xiao Chun heard this under the mask, he felt extremely shocked in his heart. Xiao Chun is too stubborn. For the sake of a hope that he did not know existed, he put down his dignity and accompanied a group of aloof Emperor Wu, risking his life to enter a great forbidden land. Wang Yuzhu knew what Xiao Chun was thinking. A fiery light appeared in his eyes as he said, you do not understand how the half-step Emperor Wu feels. He is clearly only half a step away, but he cannot advance to martial emperor. While he is revered by the world, before the true Emperor Wu, he is an ant-like existence, without any dignity at all. He has clearly touched that door, but he is unable to push it open. No one has a stronger desire to become an emperor than us half-step Emperor Wu. Seeing the sorrowful and fervent expression in Wang Yuzhu's eyes, Xiao Chun was slightly stunned under the mask. The scene of Wang Yuzhu kneeling on one knee after receiving a palm strike from Old Hong appeared in Xiao Chun's mind. Wang Yuzhu wobbled, but he gritted his teeth and stood up. Chapter 1234. Scenes of many half-step Emperor Wu kneeling on one knee. Bitterly persevering flashed in Xiao Chun's mind. In contrast, there was a group of martial emperors watching coldly from the sidelines like they were inspecting the goods with expressionless expressions. Xiao Chun thought about his own emperor's road. It was actually very similar to this group of half-step Emperor Wus. To Xiao Chun, advancing to martial emperor in 5 years was also an unknown hope. Since ancient times, no one had ever used 5 years to advance from blue-robed emperor to Emperor Wu. What did they rely on? It was persistence. Enduring the cold gazes of thousands of people, never wavering, believing, and persevering. After a long time, Xiao Chun returned to reality from his wandering thoughts. He sighed and said, who says I don't understand? Footsteps resounded. The dragon slayer Yi Ling led the 5 Emperor Wus to the pavilion once more. Xiao Chun and Wang Yuzhu stopped talking. Then, they walked over together with the other half-step Emperor Wu's. Yiling said, "Let's make things clear first. This time, we are in charge of this operation. All the treasures along the way, unless it is a divine medicine to treat the hidden injuries of the great tribulation of wind and fire, will be distributed by us first. If there is something that Senior Emperor Wu and the others do not fancy, the 7 of you can distribute it among yourselves. Do you have any objections? If you have any objections, you can voice them. The seniors and I will not make things difficult for everyone." Wang Yuzhu and the other half-step Emperor Wu shook their heads to indicate that they had no objections. Before they came, they had already guessed that this would be the result, and were not surprised. Furthermore, they would not dare to snatch something that a martial emperor had his eyes on even if they had the guts. Xiaochen hesitated for a while, not in a rush to speak. Yiling smiled faintly, appearing very interested in this mysterious masked youth. He asked, "What's wrong? Do you have any objections?" Xiaochen nodded to indicate that he did. The other Emperor Wu's expression changed. Elder Hong even shouted coldly, "If you have something to say, then get lost. We don't need you." The red-haired Emperor Wu seemed to value Xiaochen's strength very much. He waved his hand to stop Senior Hong and said, "Let him finish first. If you have any objections, as long as it's not too much, I can satisfy them." Xiaochen said, "If it's a treasure that I find first, I have the priority to obtain it. As for the others, I have no opinion." The red-haired Emperor Wu exchanged glances with Yiling and communicated via voice projection. After a while, he communicated with the other Emperor Wu's. "This request isn't too much. He discovered the treasure first, so we'll just give it to him. Besides, I don't believe that his eyesight is better than ours. Yes, even if he has the ability to get the treasure, he won't be able to get out alive. If there really is a priceless treasure, it will be ours." Seeing that everyone else said so, Old Hong kept quiet, which was a tacit agreement. After discussing for a while, Yiling said, "All right, we agree to your request. Does anyone else have any objections?" The other half-step Emperor Wu's had not expected these Emperor Wu's to really agree to Xiaochen's request. They could not help feeling some regret. However, since they already said it, they could not go back on their word. "All right, I'll talk about something else. Our cooperation is mutually beneficial. No one will suffer a loss. During the operation, we have the authority to let you scout the way. You have to obey all our orders. Once you go back on your word, you will have to bear the consequences. It is still not too late to give up now. Otherwise, once you enter the distant sea dragon grave, you will not have the chance to regret it even if you want to." Yiling said indifferently, his voice somewhat cold. The 6 half-step Emperor Wu's and Xiaochen's did not choose to give up. If they regretted it, they would not have come in the first place. Following that, Yiling started to explain the information about the distant sea dragon grave, as well as some things to take note of. As for the purpose of this trip, Yiling did not tell Xiaochen and the others. He probably did not intend to tell them in advance. Xiaochen did not mind too much. His purpose was just to go and take a look. He did not have any special goals. If anything went wrong, he could use the cycle banner to charge out at any time. However, it seemed like Xiaochen had another purpose now. He wanted to see what kind of trump card allowed Yiling to obtain the title of Dragon Slayer, and gain the qualifications to speak on equal terms with the group of Emperor Wu's. The treasure master's identity was already mysterious enough in the first place. Now this Yiling happened to appear in the distant sea dragon grave, which had a close connection to the Dragon's Gate. Could all this be as simple as a coincidence? From the first time Xiaochen saw Yiling, he felt a deep fear. If he did not figure out the reason for this feeling, there would always be a shadow in his heart. When the morning sun rose, Yiling and the red-clad Emperor Wu discussed for a while, and decided to depart immediately. Xiaochen could tell that this trip was mainly led by Yiling, and that red-haired Emperor Wu. The other 4 Emperor Wu's did not have much decision-making authority. As for Xiaochen and Xiaochun, they did not have any decision-making authority. They were just cannon fodder here to scout. If they were lucky and came out alive, regardless of whether they found the divine medicine or not, they would gain a great harvest. If they were unlucky, losing an arm or a leg would be a small matter. They might even lose their lives. Yiling took out his golden war chariot and carried the group of people to the sea region where the distant sea dragon grave was. Xiaochen casually sized up the war chariot. In terms of speed, this war chariot was not much faster than the flood dragon war chariot. However, in terms of combat prowess, his flood dragon war chariot was not on the same level. The decorations and sculptures around the golden war chariot were not done casually. They were just there for the sake of aesthetics. They all had a deep meaning. With a thought, Yiling could immediately activate a great killing formation. There were also many hidden formations that Xiaochen could not see through. This war chariot was probably the reason why Yiling dared to barge into the dragon grave sea alone. The golden war chariot flew for most of the day in the clouds before slowly descending. A vast sea region covered in white fog appeared before everyone's eyes. The fog was hazy, making it impossible to see clearly. What was in there was mysterious and unfathomable. This was the distant sea dragon grave where the dragon kings were buried. Who knew what kind of dangers and temptations this great forbidden land had? Young Master Yi, I heard that you went to the depths of the distant sea dragon grave in the past, and came out unscathed. This time, the pressure on us should be much lower, right? A hemp-robed old man among the half-step Emperor Wu said respectfully. Yiling glanced at this hemp-robed old man and said indifferently, "Don't think it's that simple. If I were as divine as the rumors say, I would not have invited seniors to come with me. Furthermore, the place I am going this time has nothing to do with the previous one. Everything has to start over." Whoosh! Right after Yiling spoke, he put away the golden war chariot. Then he looked at the sun in the sky. After getting his bearings, he led the group into the fog. Only when he was in the fog did Xiaochen realize that he was standing on land, and not the sea as he had imagined. Amidst the thick fog, Zhang Xian couldn't sense his direction at all. His visibility was limited to 200 meters, and beyond that, he couldn't see anything. Xiaochen was no exception. However, the instant he landed, a strange feeling surged in his heart. There seemed to be something in the depths of the distant sea dragon tomb calling out to him. Ever since it became a nascent soul, the blue dragon martial spirit, which had been in a deep slumber, suddenly opened its eyes in the Dantian. It seemed to be extremely excited, and wanted to let out a roar. The instant the blue dragon martial spirit opened its eyes, the leader, Yiling, suddenly stopped. Xiaochen's heart skipped a beat. He felt an extremely dangerous aura. He forcefully controlled his blue dragon martial spirit, and closed his eyes. Then he circulated the origin returning technique to the extreme, finally concealing the existence of the blue dragon martial soul. Yiling turned his head back to glance, feeling somewhat suspicious. After a while he said slowly, "Be careful. I just sensed the aura of the dragon race." However, it quickly vanished. "We are already being watched. It is likely to be a bone dragon. Be careful." "That can't be. We just entered the distant sea dragon tomb. We are not even in the periphery, and there is already danger." A half-step Emperor Wu exclaimed in shock. The other half-step Emperor Wu felt confused as well. This was extremely abnormal. Normally, as long as one did not enter the periphery, there would not be any danger. Xiaochen heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Yiling had not discovered him. Then he started to pay more attention. This Yiling definitely had some trump card that countered the dragon race. I have to figure it out. At the same time, Xiaochen thought to himself, I came to the right place. This distant sea dragon tomb does indeed have a strong connection to the dragon's gate and me. You go ahead and scout the way. Just follow the directions that young Master Yi gives you. Suddenly, Old Hong said, wanting to send Xiaochen to the very front. Xiaochen's expression did not change as he smiled coldly to himself. This old fellow is really petty. The moment he heard that there was danger, he immediately sent me to the very front. However, it did not matter, as Xiaochen knew that there was no danger at all. Earlier, it was just his blue dragon martial spirit that attracted Yiling's attention. Yiling, who was leading the way, thought for a while and agreed with Old Hong's point of view. I'll tell you where to go. Don't go astray. There is the breath of the dragon race in this fog. It can confuse one's sense of direction. If you go astray, even a half-step Emperor Wu would find it difficult to come out. Seeing Xiaochen walk forward, the other half-step Emperor Wu all revealed expressions of sympathy. This was the result of offending Emperor Wu. If there was any danger, he would use you to scout the way first, using some tricks to kill you. I'll go with you, Wang Yuzhu said. Displeasure flashed in Old Hong's eyes. He retorted coldly. What are you trying to show off for? Did I say you could go in front? Just stay here obediently. Once we reach the distant sea dragon grave, you will not be able to make decisions for yourselves. Old Hong's words made clear Old Hong's attitude. He wanted to target Xiaochen. There's no need. I can go alone. Xiaochen felt confident in his heart. He rejected Wang Yuzhu's kind intentions and asked Yi Ling for directions. Then he headed straight ahead. Wuxia. However, not long after Xiaochen took more than 10 steps, the ground under his feet suddenly cracked. Before he could react, a shockwave rushed out of the ground and knocked him into the air. A huge dragon claw extended from the ground, clawing at Xiaochen in the air. From a distance, Xiaochen looked extremely insignificant before that huge dragon claw. There was really danger. Caught off guard, Xiaochen was knocked into the air. When he saw the tough dragon claw more than 10 times larger than him flying at him, he felt like crying. It turned out that what Yi Ling sensed was not the blue dragon martial spirit in his body. Chapter 1235. This happened very suddenly. Furthermore, Xiaochen was somewhat careless. The dragon claw that came out of the ground was simply too fast. Wuxia. The dragon claw grabbed Xiaochen and held him firmly like an eagle grabbing a chick, holding Xiaochen in its palm. It felt like 3 mountains were pressing down on Xiaochen. That feeling was extremely unbearable. His bones creaked from the pressure, and even breathing was somewhat difficult. Xiaochen's first reaction was to use his primordial energy to explode the dragon claw. However, when he thought about how many eyes were watching, he hesitated. It was this moment of hesitation that brought him even greater danger. Amid loud rumbling sounds, the ground split open, and a huge bone dragon flew out. The dragon tail was like a barb as it quickly stabbed at Xiaochen. The first reaction of Yi Ling and the others was to quickly retreat, not to save Xiaochen. This was human nature. When faced with sudden danger, one had to figure out the situation before making a move. Only then could one guarantee their own safety. This was also why Emperor Wu wanted to recruit half-step Emperor Wu, to use them as cannon fodder. Xiaochen glanced over and happened to see Old Hong smiling coldly, looking at him with some disdain. Old fellow, I will definitely settle this score with you. Xiaochen cursed in his heart. The most important thing now was to deal with this dragon tail flying over. If it pierced through his heart, even if he did not die, he would be crippled. Xiaochen roared ferociously and struggled with all his might. At the crucial moment, he managed to free his right arm. Then, without thinking, he sent out a palm strike to block. The dragon tail was like a spear, piercing through Xiaochen's palm. Blood spurted out, and Xiaochen cried out in pain. However, Xiaochen managed to block this fatal strike. The dragon tail quickly lashed out, preparing for a second strike. After Xiaochen freed his arm, his body became much more mobile. Then he used his palm as a saber and chopped heavily on a dragon claw. Gotcha! Even though Xiaochen did not use his saber soul, he did not manage to break this dragon bone. Fortunately, this chop of the saber successfully loosened the strength of the 3 claws. Struggling with all his might, Xiaochen took the opportunity to escape from the dragon claw. The second attack from the dragon tail missed. When Xiaochen landed, he slapped the ground with his left hand. Using the technique of the thunder dragon steps, he drew a huge arc and flew to the back of the group. Old Hong thought in his heart, that kid is really lucky to not have died. Fortunately, it's just a lone 3-clawed bone dragon. It's not too dangerous. Elder Hong, do it. Don't waste any more time here. Yi Ling and the red-haired Emperor Wu looked at their surroundings and quickly came to a conclusion. Next, Senior Hong's figure flashed as he pulled out a sword and charged forward to fight the bone dragon. It was clear that Senior Hong had not brought out his true abilities, only using less than 40% of his strength. However, he still held the upper hand. As Senior Hong swung his sword, the might of his sword soul reached 70%. Every time he swung his sword, A crack appeared on the bone dragon's body. After 100 moves, the sword chi held, and the bone dragon shattered into fragments. The fragments fell to the ground and seeped into the ground. However, Senior Hong was not injured at all. Xiao Chun watched carefully, not missing a single detail. Xiao Chun believed that he could defeat this three-clawed bone dragon. However, if he did not use the cycle banner and only used 40% of his strength, he would not be able to kill this bone dragon. Furthermore, this Senior Hong was not injured at all. It had to be said that although the other party's character was not good, Emperor Wu's first heaven layer strength was not an exaggeration. After Senior Hong sheathed his sword and returned, he looked at Xiao Chun, whose palm was covered in blood, and said coldly, "Continue scouting. You did pretty well earlier." Xiao Chun raged in his heart. "This old fellow will not rest until he kills me." Yi Ling stopped Xiao Chun and said, "Send someone else. He is injured. Let him rest for a while." Senior Hong nodded. Then he shifted his gaze. The other 6 half-step Emperor Wus felt somewhat nervous. The earlier scene of Xiao Chun dying and Emperor Wu watching coldly from the sidelines had frightened them. These Emperor Wus did not treat them as companions at all. Without knowing the risk, even if the bone dragon killed them, they would not help. If it were not for Xiao Chun but them, they would not have escaped so easily. In that case, you do it. Weren't you trying to show off earlier? Now I'll give you a chance to show off, Senior Hong said with a cold smile as he looked at Wang Yuzhu. The other half-step Emperor Wus rejoiced. Fortunately, they had not gotten too close to Xiao Chun. Otherwise, they would be the unlucky ones. Xiao Chun, this old man is too hateful. He is just a first heaven layer cultivator. In Emperor Wu's circle, he is at the bottom. Furthermore, he is so petty. How disgusting. Ao Jiao said angrily from the immortal spirit ring. Don't get anxious. Right now, I still need to rely on them to bring me into the depths of the distant sea dragon grave. I feel that this place definitely has something to do with me. Now is not the time to make a move. Wait until I figure him out first. When I find an opportunity, I will definitely make him pay the price. Xiao Chun thought to himself as he bandaged the wound on his palm. How are your injuries? It is a little problematic. That bone dragon's body has a very dense death chi. It will not recover quickly. However, there is no need to worry. It will be fine after some time. Help me remember the path Yi Ling took. When we return, we will not have to rely on them. Yes, don't worry. I will remember every step he takes. Speaking of which, it was strange. Even that group of Emperor Wus found this fog difficult to deal with. However, Yi Ling did not face any restrictions in there. Following this, Wang Yuzhu took the lead while Yi Ling gave pointers from behind. At first, it was rather peaceful. However, after entering the depths of the fog, the danger increased. Occasionally, many unpredictable dangers appeared. 3-clawed bone dragons started appearing in groups. Not long after, Wang Yuzhu got injured and had to switch out people to take his place. None of the 5 half-step Emperor Wus, who were secretly rejoicing, could avoid this. They took turns taking the lead. Several times, they were in extreme danger, nearly losing their lives. After walking for 4 hours, the group finally exited the fog. A desolate land filled with lava and volcanoes appeared before them. The 6 half-step Emperor Wus were all injured. As for that group of Emperor Wus, they were all brimming with health and vigor. They were not injured at all, not even a speck of dust on them. The value of cannon fodder was clear in this place. If not for this group of half-step Emperor Wus, no matter how strong Emperor Wu was, he would be somewhat fatigued and unable to maintain his peak state when passing through this fog. Yi Chen, this operation is somewhat strange. I do know some things about the distant sea dragon grave. The fog is not even in the periphery. There should not be so many dangers. This is too strange. Wang Yuzhu sent a voice projection to Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun's heart skipped a beat. Could it be because of him? From the moment they entered the fog, the blue dragon martial spirit, which had already become a Yuanying, had been incredibly excited, wanting to roar out. Even so, Xiao Chun firmly suppressed it. Could there be some connection between the two? This time, we are on the same boat. Even if we want to run, we cannot. If you have a trump card, you should leave early, Wang Yuzhu continued, his tone filled with helplessness. Xiao Chun thanked Wang Yuzhu and kept an eye on him. However, it was not the time to leave yet. On the other side, the red-haired Emperor Wu looked at the dark clouds and lava spreading in front. He asked Yi Ling, "Is it here?" An ancient dragon-shaped key appeared in Yi Ling's palm. It was completely red, looking like it was made of fire. It looked very strange. Yi Ling held the key and sensed it. Then he nodded and said, "It is indeed here. However, this desolate plain of fire will not be easy to cross. It is getting dark. Let's rest for the night first. Those half-step Emperor Wus also need time to recuperate." Joy flashed in the red-haired Emperor Wu's eyes as he got the other Emperor Wus to make arrangements. Soon, Emperor Wus started to work together to carve a formation. Then, a simple camp appeared. Old Hong arranged a place for the half-step Emperor Wu to rest, and some crucial points of the formation. When it was Xiao Chen's turn, he said, "Go outside the formation. Tonight, you will stand guard and help us keep watch. Remember to stay far away. If there are any accidents, you can inform us in advance." Under the mask, Xiao Chen's expression changed. This desolate plain of fire was extremely strange. Who knew what kind of danger would occur at night? Furthermore, there was a foggy land behind. Who knew if ferocious beasts would appear? "What's wrong? You want to disobey orders?" Old Hong asked coldly. A murderous intent flashed in Xiao Chen's heart. He did not say anything. Instead, he stood up and walked out of the formation. Although the formation that Emperor Wu personally laid down was rushed and looked simple, its defense was not compromised at all. After Xiao Chen walked out of the defensive formation, the 8 nodes of the formation immediately lit up with light. Then they connected to each other and formed a ring of light encasing the entire camp. Upon careful observation, one would discover that the formation was vaguely connected to space, involving many of the mysteries of the state of space. "Old Hong, this is not appropriate, right? There are too many unknown dangers in this place. Isn't it too much to toss a half-step Emperor Wu outside the profound underworld formation?" Yi Ling said with a frown as he looked at Xiao Chen's back. Old Hong smiled and said, "Young Master Yi, it is precisely because there are too many dangers that we need someone to stand guard at night. It is already late at night. We can't possibly have to stand guard by ourselves, right? Furthermore, I can tell that this fellow is very skilled at movement techniques. Letting him stand guard at night is the best choice." The other Emperor Wu did not feel much about it. It was just a consummation blue-robed emperor. He was not related to them in any way. Whether he lived or died did not matter. When Yi Ling saw the situation, he did not say anything more. A consummation blue-robed emperor was indeed nothing. However, Yi Ling kept feeling that this mysterious masked youth's aura was somewhat familiar. However, he could not recall where he had seen it before. A cold murderous intent flashed in Old Hong's eyes. He thought to himself, "An insignificant consummation blue-robed emperor dares to fight with me? I can easily toy with you to death." Outside the formation, Xiao Chen continued walking for more than 25 kilometers before he stopped. Boiling lava flowed under his feet, occasionally spewing out flames. Volcanoes of various heights were in the distance. Those volcanoes had never stopped erupting, and there would always be lava shooting up into the sky from the mouth of the mountain. Chapter 1236. As a result, the sky was always overcast. All sorts of loud sounds resounded in the surroundings, sounding like thunder. Although it was clearly very chaotic, Xiao Chen strangely felt a sense of tranquility. There was no sign of life at all. The scene before him was like a silent movie. The distant sea dragon grave. I really did not expect the fog to be like this. Xiao Chen withdrew his gaze and muttered to himself, "Don't overthink. This is just the tip of the iceberg of the distant sea dragon grave. You have just officially stepped into the periphery. After passing through the entire desolate plain of fire, you should barely be in the depths," Ao Jiao said from the immortal spirit ring. As Xiao Chen looked at the boundless desolate plain of fire, he was flabbergasted. The size of this distant sea dragon grave was truly startlingly huge. "What do you think Yi Ling's group is doing here? I don't think they are just here to scout around." As far as Xiao Chen could see, there were no signs of movement at all. As he stood guard, he felt somewhat bored. Furthermore, he could not cultivate. So he could only chat with Ao Jiao. There are too few clues. I can't guess. Furthermore, I have never been to the distant sea dragon grave before. I know too little. In any case, you just have to be careful. I hope so. After chatting for a while, Xiaochen remembered that he had not opened the door of time and space to absorb primordial energy yet. So he got Ao Jiao to help him keep an eye on it. Ever since he experienced the might of primordial energy, and the extremely difficult method to obtain it, Xiaochen knew that this was his only chance to open the door of time and space every day. He cherished it extremely and did not dare to waste it. With a thought, the resplendent heart of an emperor spun. Then, under a mysterious pull, the door of time and space appeared above Xiaochen's head once more. With a thought, the resplendent heart of an emperor spun. Under the mysterious pull, the door of time and space appeared above Xiaochen's head once more. Drops of pure white primordial energy flowed out. It was like Xiaochen was bathed in a white light, appearing extremely holy. Strong energy spread throughout his body, making him feel very satisfied. He really wanted to go to the world behind the door, and see what kind of existence that hazy and boundless world was. Unfortunately, that was impossible. Even if one was as powerful as a supreme being, reaching the peak of the martial path, they still couldn't enter that world. The so-called gate of time and space above his head was in between reality and illusion. It was not a real gate at all. Strictly speaking, this was just an image projected by the heart of an emperor after it established a connection with that world. If you walked in through the door and came out, you would find that you were still in this world, just an illusion. Even if one really entered and was safe and sound, the many Emperor Wu of the Kunlun realm guessed that it was a pure energy space. There was no order to it, and it would immediately turn into primordial energy. Of course, whether it was true or not, there was still no conclusion. Primordial energy was just a name that Emperor Wu of the Kunlun realm had given it. That world was chaotic was also a guess. Right now, Xiaochen was not thinking about anything else. He only wanted to absorb this energy to strengthen himself, to increase his chances of clearing his great tribulation of wind and fire. When the gate of time and space slowly closed, Xiaochen reluctantly opened his eyes. He sighed. It is really not easy to obtain this primordial energy. Looking around, as far as his eyes could see, nothing had changed. Use your heavenly eye to take a look. I definitely can't see this vast plain of desolate fire clearly with the naked eye. Xiaochen circulated the Paradise Secret Cannon, and the vertical purple eye on his forehead opened. Immediately, his field of vision widened by 100 times, 1,000 times. Xiaochen saw many flaming earth dragons roaming the desolate plain. There were also strange flaming birds flying in the air. With one glance, it was startling. These ferocious beasts were definitely not weak. Aside from the many ferocious beasts, Xiaochen also made some unexpected discoveries. There are so many divine materials. This desolate land of fire is actually filled with treasures. Xiaochen's heavenly eye noticed several natural ores that were divine materials hidden in the lava with his extremely sharp heavenly eye. Suddenly, Xiaochen's gaze paused. He saw a strange gem flickering with golden light in the pool of lava. However, in the next moment, the lava surged over and covered up the gem. It was like it had sunk into the pool, and could no longer be seen. The heavenly eye closed, and Xiaochen's emotions fluctuated somewhat. He muttered, Ao Jiao, I think I saw a heptagold origin. Really? Ao Jiao exclaimed excitedly, losing her composure, which she rarely did. For the lunar shadow saber to advance to a divine weapon and enter the divine weapon ranking, aside from needing vast amounts of divine materials, heptagold origin was something that the lunar shadow saber needed. Such a treasure that could only be found and not sought suddenly appeared before her. How could Ao Jiao not be excited? Xiaochen smiled and said, Don't get too excited. I did not see it clearly either. It was just a flash. I don't know if it was a heptagold origin or not. Then what are we waiting for? Let's quickly go and take a look. Xiaochen smiled helplessly. I want to as well. However, based on the time outside, one night has already passed. I have to rush back. Furthermore, there are many dangers along the way to the lava pool from here. It would be very difficult for me to cross safely alone. If it were not for the heptagold origin, I would have suffered a great loss. Ao Jiao whispered. Sorry, I was too excited. It's fine. If we want to cross this desolate plain of fire, that is the only way. When the time comes, I will scoop it up and take a look. Remembering the location of the suspected heptagold origin, Xiaochen quickly rushed back. Soon he appeared in front of the camp. The result was unexpected. The camp's defensive formations were already completely destroyed. Aside from that red-haired middle-aged man, Senior Hong, and the other Emperor Wu were all slightly injured and mentally fatigued. When Xiaochen looked around, he saw a pile of bone dragon fragments on the ground. He took a look and saw an incomplete dragon claw with 4 claws. Xiaochen instantly understood what happened. Last night, the desolate plain of fire was calm and peaceful. Nothing had happened. On the contrary, another group of bone dragons charged out from the foggy area. These were 4-clawed ones. When Senior Hong saw the perfectly fine Xiaochen, he immediately flared up. He scolded. Brat, how could you keep watch all night? More than 100 4-clawed bone dragons charged out, and you did not even give me a warning. Where did you run off to? Under the mask, Xiaochen did not show any fear when he saw Senior Hong's anxious expression. He said indifferently, Is that so? I followed your instructions and went very far. Last night was calm and peaceful. Nothing happened. How could I have warned you? Senior Hong felt stifled. When he thought about it, he was indeed the one who told Xiaochen to go further. However, when he heard Xiaochen's casual tone, he could not suppress his anger. Originally, Senior Hong wanted to trick Xiaochen, to make Xiaochen suffer in the desolate plain of fire. Who could have imagined that Xiaochen would swagger back unscathed? On the contrary, he was the one who ended up in a sorry state and even suffered some minor injuries. The camp was attacked. No matter how you quibble, you have to take responsibility for this matter. Feeling somewhat flustered and exasperated, Senior Hong started to act like a scoundrel. Xiaochen smiled coldly and said, Can you be any more shameless? I have never seen such a petty Emperor Wu before. Even the primes I have seen would not speak to me like this. Who do you think you are? What did you say? Senior Hong demanded fiercely as he stepped forward in rage. Xiaochen did not fear Senior Hong at all. He stepped forward as well and said directly, I said that you are shameless. What's wrong? Are you deaf? Did you not hear me clearly? In that case, I will say it loudly once more. You old fellow are shameless. Didn't I just force you back by a small step despite being severely injured? Is there a need to be so petty? It is just a small matter, yet you keep targeting me. The moment Xiaochen said this, those half-step Emperor Wu immediately paled in fright. This Xiaochen was really bold. To dare to go against Emperor Wu. What medicine did he take to be so angry? It was not that Xiaochen was angry. It was that he had had enough. He was already upset that Xiaochen had tossed him out of the camp in the middle of the night. Xiaochen returned to the camp perfectly fine. Despite having done nothing wrong, Xiaochen continued to criticize him. Although Xiaochen had a good temper, it was not to this extent. You are seeking death. Try attacking if you dare. Don't force me into a corner. You are just a first heaven Emperor Wu. I don't believe that you can squish me to death so easily. Facing Senior Hong's overwhelming emperor's might, Xiaochen did not show any signs of backing down under the mask. He endured the layers of emperor's might and took another step forward. Then he glared at the other party with a sharp gaze. Under the pressure of this gaze, Senior Hong saw the sharpness of a cultivator. Xiaochen would rather break than bend. His aura weakened for some reason. Senior Hong could not help but think quickly. This brat definitely has some trump cards, since he dared to enter the distant sea dragon grave. If I kill a consummation blue-robed emperor like him, he will fight me to the death. There will be no benefits at all. Who knows, I might even get injured. That is not worth it. If Xiaochen had some value, Senior Hong might make a move. However, there was no benefit at all. Xiaochen was another thorn in Senior Hong's side. This made it hard for Senior Hong to make up his mind. Never mind, never mind. We are all on the same side. There is no need to fight with each other. If we start fighting now, how are we going to proceed in the future? Emperor Wu said quickly when he saw that Senior Hong needed a way out of this embarrassing situation. At this moment, the red-haired Emperor Wu also said, Senior Hong, everyone is responsible for this. No one expected a group of bone dragons to appear in the foggy land. Right. Senior Hong, don't get angry at the juniors. Youths all have their own tempers. Seeing Xiao Chen's unyielding sharpness, Senior Hong, who was already thinking of retreating, took advantage of the situation. He flung his sleeves and said, On account of the few of us, I will not lower myself to your level. Xiao Chen smiled coldly in his heart. He could not be bothered with Senior Hong, so he walked to the side. Ao Jiao had already memorized the way to enter and exit the foggy land. By relying on the cycle banner, he could leave this place at any time. There was no need to fear this first heaven Emperor Wu. If people respect me, I will respect them tenfold. After targeting me time and time again, why should I be polite to you? Xiao Chen, you are really bold. Wang Yuzhu smiled faintly as he walked over. Xiao Chen said casually, It is not a matter of being bold. Everyone has their own bottom line. If he were Emperor Wu's third heaven strength, I would endure him ordering me around. However, he is just a first heaven Emperor Wu. To think that he dares to be so arrogant. There is no need to give him any face. Wang Yuzhu smiled bitterly in his heart. Only you dare to say that. No matter which heaven you are, Emperor Wu is Emperor Wu. He is an influential person. To them, he is an undefeatable existence. Chapter 1237. What exactly happened last night? Tell me. Xiao Chen sent a voice projection. Feeling suspicious as he looked at the bone dragon remains all over the ground. Wang Yuzhu looked around and whispered, Last night, a group of bone dragons went berserk and charged at Yiling's tent. The pressure on us half-step Emperor Wu's was much lower. Xiao Chen's heart skipped a beat. Since it was directed at Yiling, that meant that it was not because of his Azure Dragon martial spirit. Could it be that Yiling has something on him? Otherwise, how could he attract so much hatred? Or perhaps, as a dragon slayer, this fellow naturally attracted the hatred of the dragon race. However, Xiao Chen was more concerned about another problem. As he looked at Yiling, who was discussing matters in the distance, he asked, Did he make a move? No. That group of Emperor Wu thinks very highly of him, and immediately protected him. Xiao Chen's eyes flickered as he entered deep thought. Then he said, Stay closer to me for the rest of the journey. This operation is probably as you said. We are probably just sacrificial pawns in their hands. They probably do not intend to let us return alive. Are you confident of escaping from Emperor Wu's hands? Wang Yuzhu asked in disbelief. Xiao Chen did not elaborate. Just follow me. When the time comes, you will naturally know that I never do things rashly. Enough talk. Yiling's group is coming. Yiling and the red-haired Emperor Wu came over. Then they gathered the group of half-step Emperor Wus and started to give instructions. The desolate plain of fire is filled with fire-attributed dragon race ferocious beasts. You all work together to scout the way. Do not split up. We will take care of you from behind, ensuring your safety. Old Hong originally wanted to say something to let Xiao Chen take the lead. However, when he thought about the sharpness in this fellow's eyes, he swallowed back the words in his stomach. I'll let you be cocky for now. When we reach our destination, I will destroy you first. After entering this dragon grave, the half-step Emperor Wus no longer had much say. They could only follow the other party's instructions. The 7 of them walked together and started to scout the path on the barren plains of fire, giving the Emperor Wu some time to catch up. However, there were also benefits to this. The 7 people walking in front would occasionally discover some divine material ores on this desolate plain of fire. In the outside world, these ores would be considered rare items. Even if the red-haired Emperor Wu and the others were envious, they wouldn't have the nerve to ask for it from this group of people. Of the group, Xiao Chen gained the most. He could not do anything about it. Last night, he had used his heavenly eye to memorize all the precious ores along the way. After every battle, he would find something good in a corner that no one would notice. Peak grade scorching flame crystal. Yi Chen, you discovered it again. After another battle, Xiaochen found a blazing flame crystal in a pile of lava. Such a crystal was of great help to cultivators who cultivated fire-attributed cultivation techniques. Even Emperor Wu could use it. It was not just the half-step Emperor Wus that felt envious. Even the red-haired Emperor Wu and the others had a strange look in their eyes. This masked youth's luck is extraordinarily good, the Emperor Wus thought. After the other Emperor Wus took a look, he no longer paid attention to them. After all, they had agreed that Xiaochen would be the first to discover it. Only Old Hong's eyes lit up with greed. After a long time, Old Hong reluctantly looked away. However, the seed of greed had already been planted in his heart. Xiaochen smiled faintly and did not care too much about it. These were just appetizers. If they were not lightning-attributed energy gems, no matter how valuable they would not truly interest Xiaochen. What Xiaochen truly cared about was the suspected heptagold origin. This was the greatest temptation for Xiaochen. Although there was a heptagold origin among the treasures that the Thunder King left behind, there was only one piece, less than 50 kilograms. In Xiaochen's opinion, the lunar shadow saber would not become a divine weapon. However, once it became a divine weapon, it would have to be qualified to become a transcendent divine weapon. Xiaochen's goal was to gather at least 500 kilograms of heptagold origin and 9 lightning-attributed demonic cores of Emperor Wu. When Xiaochen looked around, the lava pool where the heptagold origin was located was about 10 kilometers ahead. Whether it was the heptagold origin or not would be clear soon. After resting, the half-step Emperor Wus regrouped and started scouting again. Soon the group passed the blazing lava pool. Xiaochen started to feel anxious. This place was unexpectedly smooth. There were no ferocious beasts. Without ferocious beasts, there would be no fighting. If there was no fighting, Xiaochen would not have a chance to fish up that heptagold origin amid the chaos. If Xiaochen suddenly went to a lava pool and fished up a heptagold origin, anyone would be able to tell that something was wrong. What should I do? Xiaochen felt very anxious. If he could not think of a solution, he would have to pass by and miss out on this opportunity. Wait a moment. Just as the group was about to pass the lava pool, Xiaochen suddenly called out, stopping everyone. What's going on? Yichen, did you discover a dragon race ferocious beast? Yiling asked, feeling suspicious. The other half-step Emperor Wus felt confused as well. If there was no chance, they could only create one for themselves. They absolutely could not miss out on the heptagold origin. Xiaochen maintained his calm and nodded. That lava pool in front seems somewhat strange. However, I do not dare to be certain. A ferocious light flashed in Old Hong's eyes. He immediately said, in that case, you go over and take a look. We'll watch you from behind. Xiaochen rejoiced in his heart. I was just waiting for you to say that. However, on the surface, he still revealed a displeased expression. Let me do it. I also find this lava pool somewhat strange. Just as Xiaochen was about to step forward, the red-haired Emperor Wu noticed the displeased expression in Xiaochen's eyes. Then, as if trying to resolve the conflict between the two, he suddenly spoke up. Xiaochen was slightly stunned. He had not expected such an accident to happen at such a crucial moment. This pretense was a little overboard. How was Xiaochen supposed to respond? Could it be that he had to watch as the red-haired Emperor Wu obtained the heptagold origin right before his eyes? Xiaochen's expression turned somewhat stiff. Although he quickly recovered, it did not escape the red-haired Emperor Wu's eyes. The red-haired Emperor Wu walked over to Xiaochen's side and smiled. Your eyes are pretty good. Now, I'm really curious about your identity under that mask. However, there is no need for you to make a move this time. I'll do it myself. There is no need to thank me. There is still a long way to go. I do not wish to see you and Old Hong clash forever. Xiaochen felt depressed and speechless in his heart. You did not make a move several times when it was extremely dangerous. Instead, you came here to play the good guy at the crucial moment. Aside from the heptagold origin, what danger could there be in this lava pool? However, even though Xiaochen cursed in his heart, he could only smile embarrassedly and say, "Thank you, senior." Old Hong appeared somewhat embarrassed. He had not expected the red-haired Emperor Wu to step forward at this moment. The red-haired Emperor Wu walked forward step by step. Soon he arrived before the lava pool. Then he looked at the vast pool of lava with a stern expression. The molten lava bubbled and bubbled non-stop. Every time a bubble popped, the residue that shot out gave off horrifying chi-chi sounds in the air. Xiao Chen's heart leaped to his throat. Originally, he wanted to use the life bestowal spell to create a diversion, and then fish out the heptagold origin during the chaos. Who could have expected the red-haired Emperor Wu to suddenly charge over? You hit pretty well. If I were not standing so close, you might have dodged it. Come out! The red-haired Emperor Wu roared ferociously. Emperor Wu's second heaven martial emperors might spread out, causing ripples to appear in the air. Xiao Chen felt startled in his heart. He quickly circulated his ruler's tyrannical aura to resist this aura. This was Xiao Chen's first time seeing the red-haired Emperor Wu make a move. He had not expected his aura to be so strong. However, could there really be some danger in this lava pool? Just as Xiao Chen was feeling doubtful, an overwhelming wave surged out of the lava pool. It was like all the lava was flipped upside down, revealing a bottomless black hole on the plain. Before Xiao Chen could be shocked, he saw a fiery red dragon flame quickly flying towards the red-haired Emperor Wu. Everywhere it passed, the air instantly burned to nothing, turning everything pitch black. It was unknown how high the temperature was. Faintly, a ripple could be seen in space, and the world around them began to shake. That dragon flame was not simple at all. An expression of lingering fear flashed on Xiao Chen's face. If he had really charged forward, he would have died already. What kind of monster was hidden in this lava? The few half-step Emperor Wu retreated in a fluster. This level of battle was no longer something they could interfere with. Old Hong and the others behind showed grave expressions. They circulated their primordial energy, preparing to help at any time. As he retreated, Xiao Chen suddenly remembered that he had to find that piece of, or that he suspected to be the heptagold origin. Sweeping his gaze around, Xiao Chen looked at the rising waves of lava in the sky. Indeed, he found a strange golden rock in the lava that had already floated into the sky. Upon closer inspection, it looked very much like the heptagold origin that he had seen before. Coincidentally, everyone's gazes were focused on the deep pit in the ground and the mysterious monster. No one paid attention to the sky. However, before Xiao Chen could show any joy on his face, the golden heptagold origin was submerged in the lava. Then, it crashed to the ground along with the lava, nowhere to be found. Xiao Chen panicked and looked around. However, no matter how hard he looked, he could not find it. Bang! Before Xiao Chen could think too much, a massive head poked out of the deep pit. There was a snake crown on its head. This was actually a flame serpent dragon. The flame serpent dragon was one of the most dangerous monsters in this desolate plain of fire. Its strength rivaled that of a first heaven martial emperor, Emperor Wu. Furthermore, it had the geographical advantage here, and its strength still needed to increase. Whoosh! The flame serpent dragon shot up. Unexpectedly, it passed by the red-haired Emperor Wu and charged at Yiling. The four Emperor Wu guarding Yiling did not panic. They all stepped forward and shielded Yiling. Working together, they forced the flame serpent dragon back. Beast die! The red-haired Emperor Wu took advantage of this opportunity to attack. He threw a palm strike, and 2 layers of fiery rings appeared behind him, dyeing the sky red for 5 kilometers around. The 5 Emperor Wu surrounded the flame serpent dragon and beat it while it was down, not giving it a chance to turn the situation around. Chapter 1238. Everyone knew that this startling battle would definitely attract many ferocious beasts of the same level. One flame dragon snake was not scary. However, if a group of ferocious beasts of the same level came, it would be problematic. The battle was extremely intense. Emperor Wu brought out his true abilities. The group of half-step Emperor Wus observed carefully and learned something. However, Xiao Chen did not have time to pay attention to them. He retreated quietly and formed hand seals with both hands. Then he said softly, "Life bestowal spell." Immediately, the rock under Xiao Chen's feet turned into a small snake under the effect of the life bestowal spell, silently swimming around. As Xiao Chen watched the group of Emperor Wu's battle with the dragon snake, He used his consciousness to control the small snake to swim to where the lava had fallen and search everywhere. With 5 Emperor Wus attacking at the same time, and 1 second Heaven Emperor Wus present, the flame dragon snake was firmly suppressed from start to end. Soon it was riddled with wounds. However, the red-haired Emperor Wu's group did not show optimistic expressions. They could hear several fearsome roars in the distance, stirring up the wind and clouds. Yiling's eyes flickered, and strands of black aura appeared on his body. He hesitated on whether to make a move or not. When Xiaochen saw that black aura, fear appeared in his heart. The blue dragon martial spirit, which had been suppressing its roar, quietened down at this moment, trembling somewhat. Could it be? Xiaochen was very familiar with this aura. However, Yiling revealed too little of it, so he could not make 100% guess. Found it. Suddenly, Xiaochen, who was multitasking, rejoiced in his heart. The little snake had finally found that golden ore in that pile of lava. Just as Xiaochen shifted his attention to it, Yiling, who was in the air, suddenly made a move. He narrowed his eyes, and his figure flashed as he landed a palm strike on the flame dragon snake. The originally berserk flame dragon snake's aura suddenly weakened, and its strength strangely plummeted. By the time Xiaochen shifted his gaze, the 5 Emperor Wus had already found an opportunity to deal a sure-kill blow to the flame dragon snake. The flame dragon snake's corpse shattered into pieces, no longer showing any signs of life. Ao Jiao, did you see how he attacked? No, it's too strange. I don't even know how he did it. Xiaochen could not help feeling disappointed. This was a rare opportunity to see Yiling's origins, but he lost it. Fortunately, he had found the heptagold origin. While Emperor Wu was resting, he took a step forward and silently came to the front of the magma. His hand shot out like lightning and grabbed the golden ore in his hand. Upon closer inspection, wild joy appeared on Zhang Xian's face. It was indeed a heptagold origin. Furthermore, it was at least twice the size of the one in the Thunder King's inheritance. However, he still needed to refine it a little and remove the impurities before he could know exactly how heavy this heptagold origin was. Without thinking too much, Xiaochen put it into his universe ring and turned around. However, when Xiaochen turned around, his expression changed. At some point in time, Old Hong had appeared behind him, looking at him coldly. What a fellow! We worked ourselves to death, but you are rather straightforward, following behind and taking advantage of us. What did you just take out? Hand it over and let me see. Xiaochen replied coldly. Just because you said I'll show you, I'll show you. Who do you think you are? When the others saw this scene, they felt curious and slowly walked over as well. Then they all looked at Xiaochen. What's going on? What's going on with the two of you? The red-haired Emperor Wu asked with a frown. Xiaochen did not fear anyone. However, this red-haired Emperor Wu was Emperor Wu's second heaven martial emperor. He was not someone to be trifled with. If Xiaochen discovered the heptagold origin, he would definitely have to run. It was unknown whether he could keep the heptagold origin or not. Xiaochen felt depressed in his heart. Unexpectedly, there were so many twists and turns in one heptagold origin. The moment Old Hong opened his mouth, he smeared Xiaochen's name. This fellow took away one of our treasures. Xiaochen smiled coldly and said, strange. Since when did the treasure I discovered become yours? Old Hong's face sank. Sharp-tongued. Are you trying to quibble again? We were the ones who killed the flame dragon snake. Logically speaking, the thing in the lava should be ours. I think you are too impudent. Do you really think that we, Emperor Wus, are easy to deal with? Quickly hand it over. If we want to kill you, we can do it in a matter of minutes. Don't blame us for making a move on a junior. A suspicious expression flashed in the red-haired Emperor Wu's eyes. He looked at Old Hong and asked, what exactly is it? Why are you so nervous? Old Hong was startled when he heard that. Just as he was about to say something, he thought about it and realized that he did not see it clearly either. It seemed to be a piece of heptagold origin. If he told the truth, the red-haired Emperor Wu was the strongest here. If it really was a heptagold origin, there would definitely not be a share for him. After hesitating for a while, Old Hong did not tell the truth. I did not see what it was exactly. It seems to be another peak-grade flame crystal rock. It is just a peak-grade flame crystal rock. Is there a need to be so greedy? Look at the time. Let's go. When the red-haired Emperor Wu heard that it was a peak-grade flame crystal rock, he could not help cursing. After that he looked at Xiao Chun and said meaningfully, "Young man, your eyes are pretty good." Clearly, Old Hong also suspected that Xiao Chun had some ulterior motive for saying that there was a problem with the lava pool earlier. Being stared at by this person, Xiao Chun felt a chill run down his spine. The pressure from this person was much greater than Old Hong's. Emperor Wu was indeed extraordinary as a second heaven martial emperor. Emperor Wu was also a minor heavenly martial emperor, but the difference was actually so great. On this trip, Xiao Chun had to be careful and guard against this person. Otherwise, he might fail miserably at an easy task. Let's go. If we do not leave now, it will be too late, Yi Ling said in a rush after he took out the flame dragon snake's demonic core. When Xiao Chun looked around, he could sense strong auras heading over from all directions. The ground rumbled, and everyone could feel the ground shaking violently. The fight with the flame dragon snake probably startled all the martial emperor-level ferocious beasts in the entire desolate plain of fire. No one dared to linger. They all executed their movement techniques and quickly left this place. As the group flew at lightning speed, Xiao Chun and the others took the lead. The group of Emperor Wu followed behind. Even at this moment, they had to give themselves some buffer time. Brother Zhao, do you treat that masked brat as one of your own? Or do you treat me as one of your own? Old Hong asked the red-haired Emperor Wu in dissatisfaction from the group of Emperor Wu. The red-haired Emperor Wu replied indifferently, "I really don't know how you became Emperor Wu. That masked brat clearly has the highest value among the 7. Even if the others die, this brat will be the last to die. As for the grudge between you and him, when we reach our destination, I naturally will not bother." Yi Ling said, "This person is not simple. Last night, when he was keeping watch, he probably took the opportunity to explore the entire area. For him to be able to move about freely among so many ferocious beasts alone, his movement technique must be extraordinary." The red-haired Emperor Wu nodded and said, "That's right. Such a strong consummation blue-robed emperor should rank within the top 10 of Emperor Wu's reserve list. We have to kill such a person when we reach our destination. Otherwise, he will become a problem in the future. When he becomes a martial emperor in the future, he will probably seek out Old Hong first," the other Emperor Wu said. When Old Hong heard this, he quivered. He smiled coldly and said, "Do you think I'm afraid of him? No matter how arrogant he is just a consummation blue-robed emperor. If I use my full power, I will not be able to kill him in more than 10 moves." "That's right. Young Master Yi, how confident are you of opening the grave of that fire dragon general? I heard that this fire dragon general is one of the old Dragon King's 8 great generals. Several sovereign martial emperors could not open the grave." Yi Ling said calmly, "Those people could not open it because they did not have the key and did not know the exact method. I went through a lot of trouble to obtain the key. As long as nothing unexpected happens, I am completely confident." When the others and Emperor Wu heard this, they all revealed expressions of joy. The grave of the fire dragon general was like a castle guarding the main grave of the Dragon King. Given their strength, exploring the dragon grave would naturally result in death. However, exploring the grave of the Dragon King's subordinates would still stand a chance. However, we have to keep these cannon fodder for now. Firstly, I have the key. As long as the ferocious beasts in the desolate plain of fire smell the aura, they will attack me. Secondly, when we reach the fire dragon general's grave, we can use the physical bodies of these people to open the grave. Old Hong nodded and said, "Don't worry. I understand the general principles. If not for this, given my temper, that masked brat would have died thousands of times already." Naturally, the half-step Emperor Wu, who led the way, did not know that from the moment they stepped into the distant sea dragon grave, there was already no way out. This group of Emperor Wu, who had ulterior motives, did not intend to let them leave this place alive. The latter part of the journey was even more arduous. There were clearly more attacks, but the harvest was also greater. Although they did not find any divine herbs, the divine materials and natural treasures that the group of half-step Emperor Wu found in the desolate plain of fire were equivalent to 10 years of harvests. If they could return, they would have made a huge profit on this trip. As for Xiao Chun, there was no need to even mention him. The value of one piece of heptagold origin was even greater than the harvest of these people combined. Heptagold origin. This was something that even Emperor Wu would be tempted by. He would break his promise and kill for it. However, the further they went, the more Xiao Chun discovered that something was wrong. Towards the end, the number of times that Emperor Wu attacked increased. It was like Emperor Wu was unwilling to watch them die. Sometimes he would even take the risk to block the attacks of some ferocious beasts. Given the indifferent attitude of this group of Emperor Wu, Xiao Chun naturally would not think that they were acting up. Wang Yuzhu, when we reach our destination, remember to be careful. I have a bad feeling about this. Yi Chun, are you saying that this group of Emperor Wu will attack us? That can't be. What value do we have for Emperor Wu to attack us? At worst, we will just give them the treasures we obtained. That's hard to say. In any case, there is nothing wrong with being careful. As Xiao Chun spoke, the battle did not stop. Aside from scouting the way, this group of half-step Emperor Wu could only harass the group. The main force was still that group of Emperor Wu. If they did not follow this group of Emperor Wu, given the strength of a half-step Emperor Wu, it would be impossible for them to barge in. Chapter 1239. 3 days later, the fatigued group finally walked out of the desolate plain of fire. With Yi Ling leading the way, they passed through many hidden tunnels. 1 hour later, a vast and majestic grave appeared before the group. Rows of flaming red sculptures lined both sides of the road. The air was incredibly dry. It felt like the air they exhaled could ignite. At the end of the road was a mysterious formation that sunk into the ground. There was a circular hole in the middle of the formation. It was somewhat far away, and could not be seen clearly with the naked eye. This is the grave of the Fire Dragon General. Is this your destination? A half-step Emperor Wu exclaimed in shock. The Fire Dragon General was one of the old Dragon King's 8 great generals. Aside from the main grave, it was one of the 8 most valuable graves in the distant Sea Dragon grave. However, it was rumored that even sovereign martial emperors were helpless before this grave. Could it be that Yi Ling's group had a way to open the grave? Yi Ling smiled faintly and said, "You guessed right. However, sorry, there is no reward." Pusiai. The 5 Emperor Wus attacked at the same time, each executing a killing move and mercilessly attacking the 7 half-step Emperor Wus. The red-haired, middle-aged man struck the first half-step Emperor Wus, who spoke and burned him to ashes. The other 4 Emperor Wus also attacked. Although they all struck one person, they could not achieve a one-hit kill. The difference in strength was clear for all to see. As for Xiao Chun and Wang Yuzhu, they had been paying attention. When the other party unleashed their killing intent, they quickly turned and fled, dodging the first wave of attacks. "Leave these 2 fellows to me." A greedy look flashed in Old Hong's eyes. He rushed ahead of the other Emperor Wus to chase after Xiao Chun and Wang Yuzhu. "Yi Chun, you are right. This group of Emperor Wus is too deranged. What benefits can they gain from killing us half-step Emperor Wus?" As Wang Yuzhu fled, he still could not figure it out. Originally, he thought that this mission would be more difficult. Unexpectedly, at the last moment, Emperor Wu would personally kill them. No matter how he thought about it, he could not figure out why. What benefits could a half-step Emperor Wus gain from killing them? In the past, Emperor Wus had recruited half-step Emperor Wus to explore the distant Sea Dragon grave. Although the mortality rate was high, there had never been a situation where a half-step Emperor Wu was killed. Even if a half-step Emperor Wu fancied a treasure, they could just force it. How could a half-step Emperor Wu compete with a true Emperor Wu? In the end, they would obediently hand it over. Of a monster like Yi Chun was an exception. Xiao Chun smiled coldly and said, "Are you surprised? Emperor Chun. Emperor of the said. Emperor Star. Emperor Thousand. Emperor I said, Ling Chun I said. What do we do now? Isn't it too difficult for the 2 of us to walk out alive?" Chun and of NNNA, and said Ling instead of and. Don't worry. Just follow me, Xiaochen said calmly. Suddenly, maniacal laughter reverberated behind them. Brat, now you know how to run. Weren't you very cocky back then? Why are you running? If you have the guts, stop. This old man will squish you to death with one hand. The maniacal laughter carried a heavy emperor's might that could topple mountains and flip the seas. Rumble. Emperor's might spread out, surging over. Old Hong's maniacal laughter ripped off a layer of the ground under their feet, forming a storm that surged towards the two. Wang Yuzhu's expression changed. Oh no. This old fellow is chasing us. It will be hard for us to escape now. The two looked back and saw old Hong tearing space with his bare hands. His figure pierced through the void. Although he did not travel far, his speed was faster than the two's movement techniques. Furthermore, with the storm behind them interfering, it was only a matter of time before old Hong caught up to them. Only this guy managed to catch up to us? Xiaochen opened his heavenly eye and looked back. Indeed, only old Hong was chasing them. The other Emperor Wu must have gone to chase the others. Mask brat, aren't you rather gutsy? To think that you dared to clash with me in front of so many people, causing me to lose face. Why are you running now? The rage that old Hong had suppressed in his heart for a long time erupted. His roar was like thunder, making everyone flustered. Anyone who heard this voice could feel the overwhelming killing intent in it. Whoosh! Xiaochen closed his heavenly eye and turned around, stopping just like that. This startled Wang Yuzhu. Yichun, are you crazy? Xiaochen smiled faintly. Then his face sank, and a murderous intent appeared in his eyes. It is just a first heaven Emperor Wu. Watch how I kill this old fellow. Old Hong, who had been chasing Xiaochen in the distance, suddenly sensed that Xiaochen had stopped. His face immediately lit up in joy. Little brat, you really dare to stop? Do you think that I cannot kill you? After saying that, old Hong estimated the distance and took 2 steps forward. Each step covered 1 kilometer. Then he thrust his sword and tore a tear in space, disappearing in a flash. Old Hong prepared to cross space and suddenly appear, dealing a killing blow to Xiaochen. Pussy. Xiaochen raised his eyebrows. He sensed a tear in space 10 meters in front of him. The speed at which the tear extended was incredibly fast. In the next moment, old Hong leaped out of it. However, to old Hong's surprise, Xiaochen did not seem surprised at all when old Hong tore space and charged over. It was like he had guessed it long ago. At some point in time, a war banner flickering with 5-colored starlight appeared in Xiaochen's hand. What secret treasure is that? Old Hong's eyelids twitched, feeling a bad premonition. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Die. Xiaochen's lips curled up in a cold smile. The instant old Hong leaped out of the spatial tear, Xiaochen raised the cycle banner in his hand and charged over. In the next moment, Wang Yuzhu saw a scene that he would never forget for the rest of his life. Suddenly, all the dark clouds in the sky scattered. Thousands of stars in the pitch-black night sky formed a magnificent and enchanting scene. 5 beams of starlight of different colors formed a beam of light that soared into the sky. Suddenly, it descended from the sky and formed a gorgeous, colorful screen of light behind Xiaochen. The screen of light continued endlessly, looking like a dream. When Xiaochen held the cycle banner, it was like he was holding a divine spear. When the 5 states merged, the boundless astral energy carried by them reached the peak of speed. Before Zhang Xian could react, old Hong, who was still holding onto his sword, maintained his posture of leaping down. The tip of the banner stabbed into old Hong's chest. With a puci sound, a bowl-sized hole appeared on his chest. The hole was smooth and flat without any gaps. Piercing through the void? That is an emperor-grade secret treasure in your hand. How is this possible? When old Hong saw the wound on his chest, an expression of extreme horror appeared in his eyes. He could not imagine how a consummation blue-robed emperor could control the might of an emperor-grade secret treasure so freely. If old Hong had known that Xiaochen could control an emperor-grade secret treasure, he would not have dared to chase after Xiaochen even if he was 100 times more courageous. Xiaochen smiled coldly. Don't think that you are unrivaled just because you became Emperor Wu. You are just a first heaven layer. Even the primes I have seen are not as arrogant as you. Pa. Xiao Chen swung the banner violently like a slap to Old Hong's face, knocking him down from the sky. Half of his face immediately shattered. After Old Hong left, a black hole remained in the sky, lingering for a long time. As for the spatial tear that Old Hong tore earlier, it had already healed quickly. This was truly piercing through the void. Flee. After Old Hong landed, blood flowed endlessly from his mouth. This was the only thought in his mind. Only by regrouping with the red-haired emperor, Wu, would he be able to survive. Given Old Hong's current condition, he was no match for Xiao Chen. Even with the recovery ability of Emperor Wu's golden body, the black hole-like wound on Old Hong's chest could not heal. Old Hong's entire heart had been erased. If Old Hong did not find a place to treat his injuries quickly, he would die even if Xiao Chen did not make a move. After Xiao Chen thrust out, he realized that he was wrong. However, he still thrust at Old Hong's chest out of habit. To Emperor Wu, the chest was no longer a fatal spot. What was important was the location of the heart of an emperor. However, it did not matter. This old fellow no longer had any combat prowess. There was no way for him to survive. Xiao Chen unfurled the cycle banner, and the sound of surging waves resounded, causing the entire space to fluctuate. When Xiao Chen looked in the direction that Old Hong left, he tossed the banner in his hand forward. The banner flew out like a javelin. Instantly, the entire starry heavens moved with the cycle banner. 5 colored starlight spread out, looking like raindrops falling from the sky. Old Hong felt like he could not run anymore. Right now, Old Hong's physical body was incomplete. He could not even drive his primordial energy. The space fluctuated like water, filled with resistance. He turned his head to take a look. What he saw was the last thing he saw in this world. The cycle banner arrived like a meteor. With a puci sound, it stabbed into the place where Old Hong's heart of an emperor was. The banner pierced through his physical body and pinned him to the ground. Xiao Chen killed Emperor Wu in 2 moves. Wang Yuzhu felt like he was seeing things. Did he see wrong? He rubbed his eyes and looked carefully. Indeed, he did not see wrong. Old Hong, who had been running frantically and boasting about killing Xiao Chen, was indeed pinned to the ground. Motes of white light came from Old Hong's body. They were incredibly white, containing dense and pure energy. That was the heart of an emperor slowly dying. When the light scattered, it would die completely. Right now, Xiao Chen was exhausted. When he controlled the fusion of the 5 states, he had already drained the 10 strands of primordial energy. The mental energy in his sea of consciousness drained even more terrifyingly. Every state contained vast astral energy. Furthermore, their attributes were very distinct and not easy to merge. If Xiao Chen was not careful, there would be an explosion. At that time, he would not be able to injure the enemy. Instead, the backlash would cripple him. In reality, every time Xiao Chen used that dreamlike attack, he gambled with his life. Xiao Chen quickly absorbed that light. It is very useful to you. Be faster. Don't wait for it to scatter. Chapter 1240. Ao Jiao quickly reminded Xiao Chen from the immortal spirit ring. Seeing that Ao Jiao spoke in a rush, Xiao Chen ignored his fatigue and moved his body, preparing to walk over. However, when Xiao Chen looked around, he discovered that Wang Yuzhu's gaze was also filled with hope as he looked at the light, entranced. Damn it! I somewhat forgot about this person's existence. Although Xiao Chen had always been good at judging people, he was not confident of defeating this half-step Emperor Wu in his current state. He could not help but feel nervous. If the other party became greedy, he could only choose to flee alone. This was not a good time to fight. When Wang Yuzhu felt Xiao Chen's gaze, he smiled embarrassedly. He said, "This is Emperor Wu's life essence. I have heard of it before. However, this is my first time seeing it, so I became somewhat entranced." Xiao Chen said calmly, "It's fine. I understand. If the other party wanted to fight, this was the best opportunity." After Xiao Chen absorbed this life essence and caught his breath, there would not be any more opportunities. In the end, Xiao Chen had not gone through life and death situations with Wang Yuzhu, nor had they shared a heart-to-heart. This was a good opportunity to test the other party. If Wang Yuzhu could endure the temptation and greed, and not make a move on Xiaochen, then Xiaochen could make friends with him. After getting Ao Jiao to keep a lookout for him, Xiaochen quickly walked over to Old Hong's corpse. Just as Xiaochen was about to sit down cross-legged, the blue dragon martial spirit in his dantian roared ferociously again. It wanted to do its best to break free of Xiaochen's suppression while he was weak. Since entering the dragon grave, Xiaochen had felt a mysterious existence calling out to him. The blue dragon martial spirit wanted to roar loudly in response to this mysterious call. Because of Yi Ling and the others, Xiaochen had been suppressing the blue dragon martial spirit, not letting it respond to that mysterious call. At this moment, the blue dragon martial spirit wanted to take advantage of Xiaochen's weakness to respond to that mysterious call. Xiaochen had a cautious nature. He did not know what would happen if he responded to the mysterious pull of the distant sea dragon grave. It would be safer to wait until he recovered some of his strength. He once again suppressed the blue dragon martial soul, not allowing it to respond to that call. Xiaochen calmed his mind and sat down cross-legged. Then he started to absorb Old Hong's life essence. As the surging energy was absorbed into Xiaochen's body, Xiaochen was astonished to discover that his exhausted law energy was rapidly recovering. Soon, the heart of an emperor completely recovered. The 20,000-odd strands of law energy spread around it like a roaming dragon. Then the grand mist energy began to restore itself. Although the speed was slower, it was still many times faster than when Xiaochen used essence stones to restore himself. After recovering all of his strength, Xiaochen discovered that his cultivation had started to increase. Emperor Wu's life essence poured in endlessly. His law energy rapidly increased, at least 10 times faster than when he used essence stones to cultivate. No wonder Ao Jiao told him to speed up and not waste it. Emperor Wu's life essence was truly nourishing. It was much stronger than some sage-grade medicinal pills or natural treasures. Wang Yuzhu watched as Xiaochen slowly absorbed Emperor Wu's life essence. He could not hide the envy in his eyes. However, there was no greed. Such a fortuitous encounter is truly enviable. As a consummation blue-robed emperor, killing Emperor Wu was a heaven-defying feat since ancient times. Not many people had been able to do so. However, that mysterious war banner of his should be an emperor-grade secret treasure. The peak strike of an emperor-grade secret treasure could indeed severely injure an unguarded Emperor Wu. This was not strange. However, didn't an emperor-grade secret treasure require primordial energy to be able to control it freely? Could it be that Xiaochen had primordial energy as well? All sorts of doubts lingered in Wang Yuzhu's heart, bewildering him no matter how hard he thought about it. Before the Fire Dragon General's grave, Yi Ling did not have to wait for long. The blue-robed emperors who went out to chase after Emperor Wu all returned with the corpse of a half-step Emperor Wu. For hours passed. Aside from Old Hong, all the Emperor Wus had returned. Strange, why is Old Hong not back yet? One of the Emperor Wus asked, feeling somewhat suspicious. Someone joked. Could it be that he cannot deal with two half-step Emperor Wu's experts? Worry flashed in the red-haired Emperor Wu's eyes. After some thought he said, never mind. There is no need to care about him for now. That masked brat is somewhat difficult to deal with. He might really escape. Right. That masked brat does give off a mysterious feeling. Old Hong probably lost him and is too embarrassed to come back. The few of them felt that, given Old Hong's strength, nothing unexpected would happen. The only possibility was that he lost Old Hong. No matter how they thought about it, they would never imagine that Xiaochen had already killed Old Hong. Old Hong did not even have a chance to self-detonate. Xiaochen had nearly drained all of his life essence. Yi Ling looked at the corpse at his feet. Then he looked at the large road in front. The dragon race puppets guarding the dragon grave lined both sides of the road. There was a concave formation at the end of the road. If one wanted to open the gates to the Fire Dragon General's grave, they could only go through this formation. Yi Ling waited for a while. However, Old Hong still did not come. So he shook his head and said, never mind. We are not going to wait for him. There are enough corpses at our feet. Let's go. Young Master Yi, the dragon race puppets on both sides will attack the moment we go over. Are we not going to make any preparations? Yiling's lips curled up slightly. If I say we can leave, naturally we can. Do you really think that my title of Dragon Slayer is undeserved? After saying that, Yiling raised his foot and walked forward. A strange aura appeared on his body, inspiring some fear in Emperor Wu, who was at the side, and making him feel mysterious and unfathomable. The dragon race puppets on both sides actually trembled slightly under this aura as though they feared it. If Xiaochen were here and saw Yiling unleashing his aura, he would definitely recognize what kind of aura this was. That was right. This aura was exactly the same as the ghost Ho that Xiaochen once saw. They really did not attack. The few Emperor Wu's eyes widened as they carefully followed behind Yiling. Their faces were filled with incredulity. Step by step, the group soon arrived at the end of the road. Then Yiling instructed, "Drain the blood and fill up the formation." The others did as instructed, pouring the blood of the few half-step Emperor Wu's corpses into the formation. At this moment, Yiling took out that dragon-shaped key and fiddled with it. There happened to be a circular hole in the center of that ancient formation, which was very compatible with the key in Yiling's hand. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The dragon race puppets on both sides trembled even more intensely, as though they would break free of their restraints at any moment and attack together. The red-haired Emperor Wu felt fear in his heart as he watched. If these 100-odd dragon race emperor-grade puppets attacked at the same time, even he would not be able to withstand it. He said somewhat uncertainly, "Young Master Yi, there won't be any mistakes, right?" Yiling revealed a confident smile. "I have been to more than 1,000 dragon graves of various sizes. However, I have never stumbled once." The red-haired Emperor Wu smiled as well. However, he still felt some shadow in his heart. That masked fellow was somewhat unfathomable. Without Old Hong returning, he could not feel at ease. After Xiaochen finished absorbing Old Hong's life essence, he opened his eyes somewhat reluctantly. He carefully checked his heavenly laws and discovered that his law energy had increased by a total of 5,000, returning to 25,000. Unexpectedly, by killing one Emperor Wu, Xiaochen's cultivation had increased by a quarter. That was comparable to more than 1,000 essence stones. Furthermore, it was even faster. Xiaochen could not help thinking, if I can kill a few more Emperor Wu, I won't have to cultivate anymore. However, after thinking about it, it is still not a good idea. This time, Xiaochen managed to kill Old Hong mainly because the other party was too careless. The other party did not know that Xiaochen had condensed the heart of an emperor and could control an emperor-grade secret treasure. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for Xiaochen to kill Old Hong in one strike. He did not even give the other party the chance to self-detonate. Even if Xiaochen killed a regular Emperor Wu, it would be very difficult to prevent the other party from self-detonating. Furthermore, such actions were not of the righteous Tao. If Xiaochen kept thinking of doing this, what difference was there between him, Xiaochen, and those loose cultivators of the evil Tao? In reality, Xiaochen's cultivation experience was no different from that of regular loose cultivators. For a long time he had not fallen into depravity because his heart had not changed. If his heart changed, even if his strength increased, he, Xiaochen, would no longer be the same Xiaochen. Ao Jiao reminded, "Stop thinking about it. It is only the first time that it has such a great effect. Quickly check what other treasures this Old Hong has on him." Xiaochen smiled and recovered his wits. Then he pulled out his cycle banner and blood spurted out. Then, Xiaochen searched Old Hong's chest. As for the other party's spatial ring, he could only take a look. Even the blue-robed Emperor's spatial ring had restrictions. Needless to say, Emperor Wu's spatial ring would be even more so. However, it was unfortunate. If Xiaochen could open this spatial ring, he would be able to make a huge profit. No matter how poor Emperor Wu was, he would have at least tens of millions of black astral coins. He would also have plenty of medicinal pills to spare. Emperor Wu definitely carried something good on him. No matter whose precious treasure it would definitely be in a spatial ring. It was the same for Xiaochen. Initially, Xiaochen did not hold much hope. In the end, he found a talisman seal. The talisman seal had a complicated and profound diagram drawn on it, looking very simple and unadorned. When Xiaochen looked up, He discovered Wang Yuzhu walking over and staring at the golden talisman seal in his hand. It seemed like he recognized it. "Brother Wang, do you know what this is?" Xiao Chen asked casually when he saw the situation. Wang Yuzhu replied, "When I saw old Honglei formation, he used this talisman seal. He carved the diagram on the talisman seal on the ground. Then he activated the talisman seal and placed it in the center of the formation. A formation that can defend against an ordinary Emperor Wu was formed." Clearly, Ao Jiao understood more. She explained to Xiao Chun from the Immortal Spirit Ring. "This is one of the formations that Emperor Wu often uses. It is called the Iron Defense Magic Formation. Right now, the formations of the martial epoch are derived from the immortal epoch's Buddhist, Taoist, and Confucian sections. The formations of the Taoist and Confucian sects are rather rare. Most of them are Buddhist formations." The Iron Defense Magic Formation is a Buddhist formation. I'll give it a try. Xiao Chen had never seen this before and felt rather curious. He asked Ao Jiao how to use it and prepared to give it a try. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.